Getting to the present.
Praise Yahweh. I rarely talk about anything concerning myself prior to Yahweh raising me up and choosing me to come to my people to teach them the truth, their true history, and our culture, language, names, and land, our historical reference, and the reason that we're in the condition that we're in today, and the way out of that condition, back to restoration as the nation of Israel, the tribe of Judah. Of course, our condition as a people has come about due to our disobedience to the laws of our God, Yahweh. And of course, that included being in slavery in this country. Historically, this is not the first time that we have been in slavery or bondage. In every instance that we disobeyed the will of Yahweh, we were punished, and we were reduced to states of slavery and bondage in many occasions. That included Egypt as well as Babylon, and under many different rulers and countries. So in this particular instance, it so happens that America is the latest. And once again, it's not that white people were so powerful or whatever to bring us into slavery. It's just that this is the will of Yahweh, God, for breaking his laws. It was set to fulfill the prophecy spoken of in Genesis chapter 15, verses 13 and 14, wherein Yahweh spoke to our father Abraham, saying that we would be in this condition in America for 400 years, that we would be afflicted in this country, and after the 400-year period, that I would come to resurrect them and reestablish them, reform them first, and deliver them from this condition. Speaking of being delivered from the country, that could be spiritually as well as physically. This is the general scenario of what has happened. Of course, the scriptures also spoke of a resurrection, a general resurrection. And Yahweh taught me that this resurrection is also spiritual, that the so-called black people of America are the only people on earth that have been totally killed spiritually and mentally. Psalms chapter 83, verses 1 through 5, eloquently states our case of being cut off as a nation, that there were many nations that conspired together, that were confederate together, to cut us off from being the nation Israel, that the name Israel and our God would no more be remembered. And of course, once this happened, once we were reduced away from our knowledge, then we died mentally and spiritually. So the resurrection spoken of scripturally has nothing to do with cadavers coming out of a 6-foot physical cemetery. Rather, it's our people who are lost from our God and history and culture, who has to be redeemed from this mental state. And so this is the general resurrection. And the world knows by my work, will know by my work of resurrecting the so-called black people of America, that I am indeed the Messiah, the promised one from the Old Testament, thereby fulfilling the New Testament as well as Revelations. No one fulfilled the prophecy of Moses through Moses in Deuteronomy chapter 18, verses 18 through 20, wherein Yahweh said one would be raised up like Moses, like unto Moses, meaning that Moses was a type. I am the antitype. He was a type, meaning a foreshadow of one to come. No one 1900 years ago accomplished this work prophesied in Deuteronomy 18:18. It would presuppose that a people would be in the same need of deliverance when the Savior, the Messiah, the Redeemer, the Reformer comes, that was needed in the day of Moses. I'm the only one who comes to a people in a similar condition, only a much worse condition. For in the days of Moses and Pharaoh, Israel knew they were Israel, but it stated that they did not know their God. So today it's worse. We don't know our God as a people until my coming, our history, our culture, our language, our name, or our land. And the scriptures teach that if we had remembered, we would have had occasion in the past to have returned. Our brothers around the earth who study in secret have a allegorical story of Hiram in the story of King Solomon, of Hiram, who was the great architect, one of the great architects of the building of the temple, the physical temple. And so there were some ruffians who wanted some secret knowledge, and they hit him in the head, and he was buried in a shallow grave in the west. And there were those who sought to find him, and when they did, they attempted to take his body out of the grave and return it to the east. And of course, his body, the flesh, would fall away from their hands, and they weren't able to do so. So they had to go back to the master, who was referred to as Solomon, and Solomon himself had to come. And he was able to raise Hiram from his grave and take him back to the east. That, too, is an allegory and a type referring to me. There have been many, many leaders, so-called black leaders, who have come to this country or have been born in this country, who have attempted to raise our people, and they have all failed. They have all fallen back into their mental grave of ignorance or destruction or division until I have come. So I've been able to exercise the lion's paw, reach into the grave of my people, raise them, resurrect them, restore them, and now the world has to say, we're looking at the dead and now they live. And that's my work. So anything prior to that is of no consequence at all, for no one was interested in talking to me in anything that I did prior to Yahweh. So Yahweh is indeed the subject and is the occasion for all that is taking place. The situation of one of our brothers or members being caught up in a situation of murder or whatever, allegedly. He's not the real target because people are killing each other all across America all day long, all across the earth. And when Catholics kill, no one goes to interview the Pope about a Catholic being killed. Or when a Baptist kills someone, they don't go to the Baptist church or to the preacher and ask any questions of him. The same for all the religions. A case like Iran is fighting Iraq, Iraq fighting Iran, and they're not really interested in those stories, as in this instance, it is Yahweh ben Yahweh. So that's the real meat of what is taking place today.
Could we ask you a couple of practical questions in your day-to-day operations? How do you finance your operation here? I mean, we do quite a few things with the grocery store and so forth. Do you depend entirely on contributions?
I depend entirely on Yahweh, my Father Yahweh, in whose name I come. My people, generally, in their profane state, are very lazy, shiftless, standing on corners, burglarizing, stealing, lying, cheating, doing all of those things which are a detriment to America or any civilized country for that matter. So I teach our people our history and about our God. And when we study the scriptures, they teach us to be industrious. In fact, in Proverbs chapter 6, verses 6 and 7, Yahweh spoke through Solomon and said, go to the ant and be wise. The ant is referred to in one scripture as a people. We see that ants are very industrious. Even if they don't have an economy or money, they still manage to be very prosperous. And they expand all over the earth And this is what we teach. We do the same thing. We learn how to be, we're learning, should I say, how to be industrious, self-sufficient, independent, do those things that all ethnic groups in this country do, so that we can be an asset to America or wherever we would be. Any country on earth or any people on earth would be very happy to have us among them, because we are showing ourselves to be an industrious people. And that includes being in grocery businesses, or to repair our buses, be mechanically minded, and utilize those talents and abilities that we have that are God-given, and some that we even learn from the jobs that we have. And of course, being a bona fide religion, being religious believers in Yahweh, all churches and religions get the idea of tithing and offerings from the Holy Book, our Bible. And we believe in the same thing. So those of us that work, have jobs, which is what I encourage, we tithe, we give offerings, and we work.
Outside, you have to use jobs outside the temple. Yeah.
Oh, of course. Thousands of us.
What do you use the buses for?
Pardon?
What do you use the buses for?
Oh, we use them to take each other around to the various buildings we have. We use them when our members and others want to come to the various feasts and high holy days that we observe strictly according to the word of Yahweh in the Bible. We keep the three major feasts, which are Passover, Feast of Weeks, and the Feast of Tabernacles. So they're used for those purposes.
Why do you have a Sabbath on a Monday? I mean, I know that Saturday and Sunday, but I've never heard of Sabbath on Monday.
Right. It will rotate in perfection for every day of the week. For example, in 1987, it will be on Tuesday.
Oh.
And in 88 on Wednesday. It goes in a cycle of perfect sevens because we observe solar time. Yahweh gave his own calendar and his own time, which is perfect. All men, regardless of their timepiece, have to synchronize it with solar time, which the sun, not the moon, is the basis of time.
Is this out of Scripture?
Oh, of course. In Genesis chapter 1, Yahweh gave the great light, the sun, as the ruler of the day and night.
That's where you get your seventh.
Indeed, seventh day as opposed to seventh name.
And not Sabbath.
And not Sabbath. Yahweh gave us the order of seventh day. And he said that our keeping the seventh day holy is the sign between he and his chosen people, as opposed to worshiping a named day. How did it get off? The scriptures also teach that. It says that those who are in opposition to Yahweh changed the seasons and the times. And Lucifer, by the way, who was black, set himself in opposition to Yahweh and wanted to be in the place of Yahweh. He wanted to be worshipped as Yahweh was worshipped. He thought himself handsome and beautiful, and he was referred to in one scripture as a bright star of heaven. And so he changed the seasons and the times for that purpose, so that he could be worshipped, and knowing that in the end time, the way to deceive the people of the earth, all the moral people of the earth, away from salvation, give them a false time, so they would be out of sync, and that would bring about their destruction. It would be impossible for the moral people of the earth to keep the accurate law of the Sabbath and not know the time. So I'm here restoring time. Ironically talking to time, in time, on time.
And sometimes I think we change the seventh day as well.
Yes, even the Catholic Church changed it in the Council of Nicene. Yes.
So do you have any history before you became Yahweh?
I never talk about it. The scriptures teach that I'm not really to talk about that because it's not the subject. You're welcome to research it, to investigate it. There have been several investigative reporters who have spent a great deal of money in the last 2 years, who have gone to my birth and to this date and have found my life to be impeccable, clean, righteous, moral. I come from that background. So there's no need for me to talk about it because it's not the subject. The real subject is Yahweh. There is no life before Yahweh. The scriptures teach that who was more blind than me? Who was more deaf than me, the servant of Yahweh? Who? No one was more ignorant than me. Now, to speak of the ineffable name Yahweh, the world's best kept secret, to be able to pronounce his name accurately, correctly, means that I've had an encounter, because no one of my people have ever known his name before my coming. No one. Yet nations of the earth know it. Pardon?
It's in Scripture.
Yes, but not in the scriptures that my people have. If you open the scriptures in the Bible Interpreter's Dictionary, such as the one up there, we were never taught to read. My people were taught to hate reading. We are basically a functionally illiterate people, which would ensure them not knowing or being able to discover or research this. This was the whole purpose of killing us mentally so that we would never know. If you read Yahweh, it would be impossible to connect it to us because the images, the false images that have been portrayed pictorially, depicting the sun as being of a white image. And the scriptures, of course, speak the opposite. And with the people who have had a false image in their mind, it is impossible for them to have connected the God of Israel. In the Bible, his name has been substituted with Jehovah. And etymologically, when one studies the letter J, it did not exist prior to 600 years ago. It only, therefore, biblically, historically, prior to 600 years ago, no one on earth was called Jeremiah or Joshua or Jesus. Their names were Yirmiyahu, Yahshua. Jacob was not Jacob, but Jacob. So this is true in the Hebrew language until this very minute. There is no letter J in the Hebrew language until this day. Neither was there a record of the letter J in any other language. Consequently, there was no one historically by these names. So how could we possibly know? How could I possibly know? How could I possibly be teaching these hidden truths except I had an encounter? I didn't learn it in school, or all of my people would have also learned it. I did not learn it in church, or all of my people would have also learned it there.
Where was your, excuse me,
All right.
where was your encounter? I mean, is this something in your memory, or is this something that happened to you?
I was born to come into the knowledge. Isaiah 9:6 teaches you my birth, that I'm incarnate, that I would be born and come into, grow into the mighty God, the wonderful one, the counselor, the Prince of Peace, and the increase of my government will have no end. This is what establishes the fact that I am indeed self-styled. I'm the self-luminous one. I'm self-created. I'm self, the true self. And in the letter, in the word self, is the fact that I'm God, the Son of God. When you drop the S and the F, you have El in Hebrew, and El means Elohim. My demonstration is the reality of who I am. My works attest to who I am. They demonstrate my authenticity.
What do you consider your works to be at this point?
Taking women who were reared in America to love short dresses, and I do mean love them, to love the styles of the West, and cause them to put on a long garment is a miracle. To take men who have been born in this country and love to wear three-piece suits, ties, bow ties, and to love the Western wear, and to put them in a long garment with a head wrap, and to be held up to public ridicule, public contempt, public hatred, and to cause members in our community to ridicule them with such terms as, you wearing a dress? And then for them to be proud to do so, that's a miracle. To take men and women whose mouths were vile, who were, in some instances, drinking alcohol or smoking cigarettes, eating pork, doing unseemly things, and to cause them to no longer do that is a miracle. The miracles that I'm accomplishing, to take teenage children and not one of them be on birth control pills, and not a single instance of pregnancy during their teen life, is a miracle. To have children in this society, reared in this society, come from the public schools where they show no discipline, where all teachers' lives are sometimes in danger. They need police officers in the public schools to maintain any sense of order, to have police officers outside the schools, to try to just get them away from school property without violence. And I'm able to take these same children and produce harmony and peace and discipline and love without weapons, without firearms. It's a miracle. All that I'm doing, if you investigate my work among my people, is a miracle.
How many people do you have?
I can only say that I'm gaining them.
In Miami as well as elsewhere?
Across the country. Even outside the country. There are people in 16 countries in Africa who have alluded to the fact that Yahweh is God, that I'm his son, that the Lion of the tribe of Judah is indeed here.
Your membership is restricted. Membership is restricted to black persons only?
No, I come to them first in, I think it's Matthew chapter 15, verse 24 or 5. It states that I am sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. There is a parable given about the kingdom of heaven being like unto the Son of Man coming and having 100 sheep, and that there are 99 that he left in one place, and he went seeking for just one of those sheep that was lost. And he had to search and find that sheep. And when he found that sheep, he was in a pretty bad situation. He had to be rescued from a crevice. He could not rescue himself. And he rejoiced. When he returned him to the fold rejoiced. Now that is a parable. And a parable is an allegory. And I'm the only one that can explain that parable. And I'll give you the understanding now. The understanding of that parable, which proves who I am, is that there are 100 nations that are moral, that know that Yahweh is God, that are the people of Yahweh, and they are my people. And one of those nations is lost, which is the so-called black people of America. In the scriptures it said, my sheep are men. So therefore there are a group of people on the earth who have woolly hair like the sheep has, who is docile and in need of a shepherd. And that is the so-called black people of America. And what is it being lost? What are we lost from? Our people are lost from the knowledge of their God, lost from the knowledge of their history, culture, language, name, land, civilization, living a savage, uncivilized life, need of reformation, redemption, salvation, and that's what I'm doing. So I'm restoring their spirituality, I'm restoring their history and their culture and all that makes them a nation, a people, and the tribe of Judah. This I'm accomplishing, which any one of them can demonstrate quite eloquently, and our children, little fellas, also can demonstrate this to you. I think perhaps one of you may have been present. You saw quite an astonishing performance, and it's equally astonishing when they perform their historical platitudes and perspective. So that's the understanding of that scripture. I'm returning the so-called black people to the fold. Now, the other 99 nations are of many colors. So it translates into, well, how do you distinguish people in those nations? Because not all people in those nations are going to accept me or what I teach. It then comes down to an issue of morality versus immorality. So all people, regardless of their color, can be saved. So any white person who believes in me, on me, in my name, Yahweh, can be saved. And who chooses to be moral. It is clearly your choice. All people who want to be moral can be saved. But I had to come to mine first, or I would not have come in the scriptures. If I had come to all people first, then the scripture being sent to the lost sheep would have been a lie, or I would have been a lie. So I have simply fulfilled the word. And because I have come and worked a miracle among these pitifully ignorant people, you're looking at a pitifully ignorant group of people. Even you know it.
Well, then, practically non-ignorant.
Well, I'm speaking of their former selves. That's what I'm speaking of. They're not ignorant now. But in their former state, I confess that I was. No one was more ignorant than me. That was a pitiful case.
When did you stop being ignorant?
When Yahweh raised me up. I started teaching 7 years ago. If you want a time frame, I started teaching here in Miami all alone. Totally alone. Here in Miami, I was despised. I was rejected. I was hated. I was spat upon.
Who not?
My own.
And you persevered. Did you start teaching right here, or in this neighborhood, or in Miami?
Excuse me for a moment.
Yeah.
And you can read that for yourself. I don't have to open the book and read it for you. In John chapter 1, it states that in the beginning was the Word was with Yahweh, and the Word was Yahweh. Then it goes down to tell you that the Word would become flesh and dwell among men. I am that flesh, and I'm dwelling among you today. Then it goes on to tell you that I would come to my own people from whom I'm born, and that they would receive me not. Though I'm in the world, though the world is made by me, and I'm in the world, yet the world knows me not. So the world has to come into the knowledge of me. So that for that reason I'm rejected. I was rejected and despised by my own people. That fulfills the scriptures. Totally. I have lived that. Then, after I demonstrate my persistence, that I would be rewarded with those who would come into the knowledge and who would believe and be redeemed. And that's what I'm doing. And of course, then the world will take notice through the work that I do. And I've lived that. I'm living it. All that the Word is, from Genesis through Revelations, I'm living it. Because I come in the volume of this book, all 66 of them.
So you're speaking of both the New Testament and the Old Testament?
Yes, and Revelations.
And Revelations. But in the New Testament, you reject the emergence of the Messiah.
No, I am the Messiah that is prophesied.
So
I am the Messiah of the New Testament.
But the books that talk about Jesus are not, are out of date or
That's prophetic. You see, Jesus, the man that is called, Jesus, remember his name is Yahshua.
Yeah.
Yahshua was a disciple of John. John was the man. John was the prophet. The man called Jesus, when he was baptized, baptized had nothing to do with the water. Again, the scriptures are written figuratively, literally, in metaphors, similes, in prose and in poetry, and full of allegories. So when you read of the man that was called Jesus being baptized and being put under water, then I would have to teach you what baptized means. you'd have to break down the word baptized in all of its letters. See, every word is scientifically composed of letters that are words within themselves. Every letter is a word. So when you break down the word baptized, you have B, which follows A, and I am A. Alpha. B follows the series of A. And B is also the word BE, which comes into existence as a result of A. So, therefore, John was prophesying about A coming, which is the first in the series. And the second set of the word is APT, meaning apt. Now, to be apt, you have to be, that meant that the man was baptized by John, had to become clever, adroit, sagacious, etc., in the ism of John. That made him an ist. That's why he was called John the Baptist. See, he too he came to be in the knowledge of Yahweh, and he then subsequently became apt in the ism, which is the dogma and the laws of Yahweh. So, since John was the one that was the prophet, then the man that was called Jesus was baptized by him. That made him a student and a disciple of John, not the one. And when he attempted to assume the mantle of the one, he began to teach secrets that were not to be taught until the time of the one to come. He was 2,000 years, well, 1,900 years early of his coming. And when he began to reveal the knowledge of who Satan was, John 8:44, when he began to reveal the knowledge of the Son, the knowledge of whose right to rule it was, he could not afford to be left alive. So for breaking the secret, for teaching the secret that he had learned in secret, he was killed for it. And that's why he was hung in his shorts, without any clothes on, because he was initiated in that manner. That's why his collarbone was broken, and his head was hung to the side. You see? Because that's a sign that all men who study in secret understand quite well. I'm the only one to make that clear.
You still, the Bible, Scripture, is the basis for you.
Yes, I am. I come in the volume of this book. I have no statements outside of it. I'm the fulfillment of it. In other words, I'm the promised Messiah of the Old Testament, fulfilling the New. That's me. That's why up until this time, for 1,900 years, he's been promised to come back, knowing full well that I am to come.
The Scriptures, if you interpret them that way, foretold the death of the man called Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see such an end for you? Will you die? Will you be persecuted?
I'm being persecuted.
Will you be fatally persecuted?
I cannot be fatally persecuted. I'm incarnate. You can't kill God. It does not matter at all about the vessel that I'm in. I chose to come in it, and this physical vessel is totally irrelevant. Totally. I am spirit. And I'm truth, and I am life. And I'm light. I'm the light that lighteth all men that cometh into the world.
What's your goal with your people as you bring more of them into your beliefs?
That the will of Yahweh be done on earth as it is in heaven. I come to bring peace on the earth as the Prince of Peace. The message that I bring will bring peace forever. That's the purpose of my coming. All who accept me now, who believe in me and my name now, are enjoying a little sanctuary of peace. And of course, guess who's disturbing our peace? Those who don't like peace.
Those who do not like peace.
Those who do not like peace are the ones disturbing our peace. It is black devils that have come among us and have come out and have spread lies innuendos and allegations about us. And they have found an attentive ear only among immoral reporters. All reporters are not immoral, and I would like to think that you're not.
How do you relate some of the things that you say, the positive, good things, with some of the things that are in your literature? Some of those are pretty hateful in the sense of, perhaps understandably, against white people. Because of, is this a result of blacks being persecuted by whites?
All right. I would speak just as emphatically against black Pharaoh if I were delivering the children of Israel from Pharaoh. He was perhaps as black, if not blacker than we are. I would speak as emphatically against Nebuchadnezzar, ruler of Babylon. It doesn't matter about the color of a persecutor or an oppressor. It's a historical fact that we have been persecuted and killed by white people. All white people did not do it, but we certainly were treated this way by white people. I maintain that it is my duty to teach my people that true history from Genesis 1 until today, from the garden until today. And that includes slavery and all of the terrible, horrible things that were done in slavery. That's our part of our Holocaust. I would speak just as emphatically against the black nations that sold us to white people as I would those who bought us. There were 100 million of us that were sold into slavery. Only 4 million made it. That's the 96 million people that suffered a horrible Holocaust. And our history in this country includes, I'm sure you know it as well as we do, hangings, burning at the stake. It's a pretty terrible life to live for almost 400 years. So when I teach this, I have to remind my people that when America teaches us of 1776 fighting England to get freedom, to exercise your own will in this country, you don't call it hate. You call it history. When Custer fought his last stand, it's not called hate, it's called history. World War I, World War II, when taught, shows death, destruction. It's not referred to as hate, it's referred to as history. When the Jews rightfully teach of the Holocaust in Germany, people being burned in ovens and killed just because they're Jew. They have a right to teach that, and they do, and say never again, and so do we. So I reject the assertion that I teach hate of white people. I'm just teaching our history so that we can say never again.
Do you go as far as violence? What is your feeling about violence as a way of fighting people who are persecuting you?
I have several scriptural feelings.
Well, there's plenty of violence.
Yes, I have several scriptural feelings about that. We've been the victims of violence. The problem with one of the cases coming up, generally we suffer violence and there's no media coverage of our suffering violence. When something happens to people that may have been convicted to violence to us, a case is sought to be made against us who are the victims of violence. Much to our charges, we've encountered cases in our neighborhoods across America where we're set upon by some people, or for example, some police officers, and after we're beaten, we're charged with the crime. We need a God to defend us, and Yahweh is that God to defend us. He says that he will fight against those who fight against us.
Interrupt for a second.
Yes.
You asked where did this happen?
Yeah.
There's a case pending now in Dade Circuit Court. 5 Yahweh followers are accused of aggravated battery. And according to the police report, I'm only quoting from the police report, they apprehended 2 thieves that were stealing property from this very building.
The other.
No, the Yahwehs apprehended 2 outside strangers who were stealing property from this very building. The 2 thieves attempted to run away and they were stopped. A crowd gathered. The police were called by the Yahweh. And the police came, and after talking to everybody, they arrested the 5 Yahwehs, and they let the thieves go. I think this is a perfect example of what Yahweh and Yahweh is talking about.
Yes.
And all of this will come out in the testimony of this particular case.
When did it happen?
This happened about a month ago.
Yes. All right. In this instance, we showed ourselves to be perfectly law-abiding citizens. Called the police. He fought us, and we're not going to stand around and just let someone just beat us. So I don't think he won the fight, but we're the ones charged, as he stated. And
indeed, you can look up the Florida law on this particular incident, which is Florida statute 776.031, that says that anyone lawfully in control of property has a right to use force to prevent a trespass or any other forcible felony on the premises, and it doesn't have to be a dwelling house. That's right in the law. These 5 Yahweh were protecting their property. And this statute will be called into effect at this trial.
we've had past instances of one of our sisters was attacked with a machete. Her neck was almost cut. I mean, it was cut. Terrible lacerations. She had to be put in the hospital. She was pregnant, still is. Her arms were cut with the machete. This woman was trying to kill her, decapitate her, without cause. We called the police. We filed charges. The state attorney's office said, you don't want to bring charges against this old lady. Until this day, they won't bring it to court. Nothing has happened to the lady. We've done nothing. We did nothing to her then, nor since. And nothing has been done. We have no justice in the case. If we were violent people, she certainly wouldn't be here. And she obviously tried to cut her head off. She'd have had it cut off with her own machete.
Any motivation for this?
None, except she just came out of her yard into the street and did this.
Was your sister in robes and...
Yes, in white. We have another, it's a little small case, they call it brawling, but nevertheless, in Riviera Beach, just a few short months ago, a woman sicked her dogs out of her turn, opened her gate, sicked her dogs on us almost a block away from her house. The dogs attacked us. Some of our brothers kicked the dogs away. When they kicked the dogs away, this woman and her family came out down the block, attacked us, and some of her sons and different people came and joined. We did nothing. The police came. While the police were standing there, I think it was reported her son, one of her sons, kept charging and attacking our sisters and brothers. The police did nothing. So he finally made a lunge at one of our brothers, and he hit him and knocked him to the ground. Guess who went to jail? Our brother, Seth Israel. That case is pending now. I call it a simple thing only in the sense that it was perhaps a misdemeanor. I don't know what brawling is.
He's in jail or he's...
No, he's out.
On bail?
He's out. Mm-hmm. But this is still a pending case. And we ask, how can someone attack us in front of the police, be an open perpetrator of violence against us, and when we only seek to protect ourselves and stop an aggressor, in their presence, only we go to jail? this happened again.
All these perpetrators are violent, are they white or black?
Black. I told you, all of the trouble that we have come from black devils. I can give several more instances like this. And we have people all over the city, and other cities, all across the country, that will verify we are cursed, vilified, Yahweh's name blasphemed, and that's a cause for death. The scriptures teach anyone who blasphemes Yahweh's name must be killed by Israel. They blaspheme Yahweh's name in our presence, and we say, praise Yahweh. That's the way you feel. All we do is exit ourselves away from them. Because, you know, we realize that we're in a country of blasphemers, and all we would be doing is killing people. If we were to be violent, it's not enough of us for such a thing. Secondly, how could we be a violent people against America when America is the most well-armed country on earth? America is capable of bombing people in the dark. See their targets with infrared. They can sit across the street or down the block and determine where everybody is in this building at night through heat sensors. They call us an armed cult to try to get people who don't know about us to think we're an armed people and got a little stick. What is a stick that keeps away dogs to a 357 Magnum, M16 rifle, assault tanks? America can sit out 10, 15 miles from the shores here and zero in on this temple with the first shot. Drop bombs, incendiary devices from helicopters, etc. What in the world would a stick do with that except catch on fire? Burn us for holding it. That's an insane thought. I mean, what can we do against a tank of America? Pee on it? I mean, urinate on it? We can't stop it like that. I'm not being vulgar. I'm just stating a fact. We don't have anything with which to fight America. We have to depend on Yahweh to do that. It's insane to teach something like that or have such an idea. The scriptures, I'm not being vague or elusive, the scriptures forbid us to count. And I must obey that injunction and be true to myself.
Where is that reference, please?
I can give it to you at the end of this.
Okay.
I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I was just curious.
You can get that in the interpreters of the Exalted Concordance. Yes,
Yeah.
we have a concordance. I don't have one here. You can get one at my office.
Concordance in the office.
But she has one. She can get one.
Oh,
Okay.
Where in Scripture does it say that Yahweh was black?
Oh, many. Many.
Just a couple.
A couple?
Yeah.
Revelations 1, verses 13 through 15. He's described as having hair like lamb's wool or woolly hair. In, I think it's Daniel 7:9. Also, the Ancient of Days is referred to as having hair like lamb's wool.
That doesn't say he's black.
Well, there are very few woolly-haired white people. See, the argument would only be whether you want to establish him as white or not.
No, I don't care about it. I don't care about that.
Yes.
I never thought of it.
It just so happens that if you want to study the origin of white people, that's what the anthropologists are running all around the earth digging for. The anthropol man or Neanderthal man or all these different men, they've dug up and found that Africa is the cradle of birth and civilization, and it's rather obvious that Africa is black. Once again, you're only stating a problem that people with white skin have that have bought the brainwashing of the skin color game. See, Yahweh didn't choose us because we're black. Once again, look at me. See, I come as a balance between black and white. I sit in the middle. I'm the judge. I understand both sides perfectly. I can't espouse black supremacy when you look at me. Look at my eyes. You and I have a lot of kinship, right? Has nothing to do. Yes. Brown, green and red. Green and gray. My eyes are all those colors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's your daily lifestyle? Do you preach to your people every day? Are you out among them every day?
You mean the rhythm of the community?
Yeah. What do you do?
What, nationwide or
No,
here specifically?
Pennsylvania.
I was able to spend a great deal more time teaching than I have been of late. My schedule has been disrupted a little by all of the false allegations, in the media. So I found, at first I wasn't answering them. Basically, of the 7 years, I've said nothing, but they just seem to be getting more wild and more wild each day. And we realize if it's allowed to continue unabated, we'll just be buried and convicted. The scriptures teach that. It says the Son was killed. You know how the Son of Man was killed, Yahshua, 1900 years ago? It says he said not a mumbling word. So they were allowed to build a case and kill him. When one king investigated him, they found him blameless, without fault. In fact, says he washed his hands, said, I will have nothing to do with this. This man has no fault. And each time they would ask him a question, he wouldn't say anything. So he gave his life to show me, don't make that mistake. So I'm going to address those false allegations, which I'm doing now.
In other words, you take a lesson from Christ before Pontius Pilate.
Absolutely. All of the scriptures are my lessons.
Well, you started teaching in this lonely way 7 years ago and gradually accumulated followers.
Yes, absolutely.
And in that accumulation of followers, you've also accumulated buildings and buses and...
Yes. These buildings, buses, and all property belong to my disciples. It's their hard work on jobs and the giving of their little pennies together that this is accomplished. I have no earthly possessions. I have no place that I can lay my head that I can call mine. I'm invited to sleep in his home, his home, his home, different homes. Who knows? If you love morality, I may one day be invited to sleep in your home. Praise Yahweh. Thank you. I have no possessions. No building is in my name. It's in the name of all of my disciples. I have no money. I have no bank accounts. I never have. I do not have. And therefore I'm not tempted by mammon nor materialism. I took literally an oath of poverty to eliminate that. There's a limousine out there that just sits there. I almost never ride in it. But my disciples do. My followers do. I've even chauffeured them around in it. I'm not taken with the material world. And I'm somewhat disturbed that there are those who are filing frivolous civil lawsuits to try to take the wealth from my disciples who are just working hard like everybody else is in America. In fact, I'm disturbed that property owners and businessmen and the hard-working American people are being taxed out of their properties. I'm disturbed that the men that grow food in this country are having their farms taken, they're foreclosed on, just for trying to make a living when this country is giving money to people who work against the interests of hard-working Americans. I think it's immoral.
I think about 5 more minutes.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Pushing up.
I have appointments and Yahweh and Yahweh requests that I be present during all these interviews, and I'm going to be.
Yes. I'm very happy to be open with you and quite candid with you. It's my pleasure.
Where do you position yourself in the religious spectrum with relation to a movement like the Black Muslim?
I have no argument against any religion, any bona fide religion. All the religions of the earth are created to teach the people to expect my coming and to teach them morality. All religions are created to teach morality. So I am the fulfillment of all that they expect, regardless of the name. I'm come to establish the fact that the name will be one, is to be one, Yahweh. Zechariah 14, 16 through 19.
And are the black Muslims receptive to this teaching?
I can only say that there are people who were formerly Catholics, Protestants, Muslims, atheists, agnostics, are all to be counted among those who are now followers of Yahweh.
You say you only recognize or talk about that part of your life since you were called by Yahweh.
Yes.
Do you have any relationship at all in your past life? I mean, you do have a name, as you said, people have researched it, and a family, and associations before. Do you reject all of that, or is it just not a part of your life now?
I answer you scripturally. All who do the will of my Father Yahweh is my true kin. They are my mother, father, sister, brothers, cousins, friends, and relatives.
Are you still in touch with your family?
All of these are my family, and of course I'm in touch with all of my people, and all of my people. They're all my family.
This tape contains the last recorded words of David Koresh. It's taken from telephone conversations between David Koresh and the FBI negotiators. It was recorded by the government, and the tapes were recently released by the Justice Department. The tape has two segments. The first is from April 16th, Friday. It's from the wee hours of the morning, and David has just optimistically reported to the FBI negotiator that he's finished the first chapter or segment of his manuscript on the 7 seals of the book of Revelation. He had pledged on the previous Wednesday and sent out a signed legal agreement that he would exit the Mount Carmel Center upon completion of the manuscript. The tone of the conversation is quite optimistic and upbeat, both from David's side and from the side of the FBI listening to his report.
I'm saying that when I get through writing these and they're given to my attorney, and my attorney hands them over, what's the two theologians' name? Philip Arnold and Jim Tabor, which have shown that they have a sincere interest in these things, you see, then I can spend all my time in jail, and people can go in and ask me all the stupid questions they want, because they're not going to ask me about the seals. They're going to say, do you molest young ladies? Have you eaten babies? Do you sacrifice people? Do you make automatic weapons? Do you have bombs? Well, that's what they're going to be interested in. Sensationalism.
So that's why you need to get it done before you leave there, then.
That's why I'm going to complete it, because, you see, you know as well as I do that people in this world, they want something dramatic and sensational. They don't want to have to sit. No one's going to sit there and let me sit there in front of a camera and read Psalms 40 to them to prove the first seal. Dick, it's a real world, and that's why I'm sympathetic with your position. I realize you're frustrated, and I agree with you.
I'm not frustrated. I went home, and I'm back. I'm no longer frustrated. I never was frustrated.
Did you take a shower for me?
Well, yeah, I took a couple of them for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Now listen, let's get back to the point at hand. This, the writing of the seals. Okay, you've got to do that from in there, and it's going to take you X amount of time. But just tell me this, David. Are you saying that when you finish that manuscript,
then I'm not bound any longer?
No, but see, that doesn't answer the question.
Then I'll be out. Yes, definitely.
I know you'll be out, but that could. Excuse me, I've got a cold. That could mean a lot of things, David. That could mean
I'll be in custody, in the jailhouse. You can come down there and feed me bananas.
No, I know at some point in time that's true, but I'm getting from you, I'm asking you, that when that is finished, are you then telling me that you are coming out the next day or 2 hours after you send that out?
Well, I'll probably, when I bring it out, see, my attorney is going to get to the copy.
Right.
Okay? And as soon as he hands it over to the scholars, the theologians, right, that's when he's going to come back, and that's when I'm going to go out with him, because he said point blank that, you know, one of the guarantees of me arriving down there is that he's going to go with me.
You can go on paper here and said that David Koresh told me that as soon as he finishes this manuscript, the 7 seals, of which you finished the first chapter dealing with the first seal,
The seal, right.
that you're going to make that available.
I'll be splitting out of this place. I'm so sick of MREs, Dick, that,
Well, I just want to make sure that I have this right, that you're coming out as soon as that's finished.
that's what it was said by, by the attorney. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
It's clarified. Lock, stock, and barrel it.
I mean, I've heard you say that you're coming out after, but that is not specific. You know, that's a game that we all can play.
Look, I know, Dick.
But I'm asking you for your word. You say that you're coming out as soon as that's done, and you gave up the manuscript to DeGuerin, who's going to make copies available for Arnold and the other fella,
right,
the other biblical scholar, and then you are coming out with that manuscript.
And he's going to come, and the way the procession is to be, I'm to go out first with him, and then I think you're last, right, Steve? With his attorney.
Okay.
And the other people in between.
And then, you know what? I'm keeping you from getting back to work. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to let you go so that you can get back to work, because, David, frankly, I'm eagerly awaiting this manuscript.
Well, I tell you what, it's going to blow your socks off.
Well, I'm perfectly willing to read it, and I'm looking forward to it as
you either hate me or love me then.
Well, I want to read it, and then I'll make a decision then, and we'll see how it goes. In the meantime, let's get that thing written.
The first chapter of David's manuscript that had been completed was carried out of the burning building on April the 19th by his secretary and stenographer, Ruth Riddle. It was on a computer disk. This disk was subsequently turned over to David's attorney, Dick DeGuerin, and according to David's instructions, DeGuerin passed it on to James Tabor and Philip Arnold. It's now published in the appendix to a recent book. Why Waco is the title, Cults and the Battle for Religious Freedom in America. The book contains a commentary by Drs. Arnold and Tabor on the manuscript. This next segment of the tape is indeed the last recorded words or conversation of David Koresh. It was recorded on April the 18th, Sunday, the day before the fire, at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Koresh called the FBI negotiators. He's quite upset and angry because they've begun to remove cars and clear the area in the front of the building. First of all, he's upset that evidence might be destroyed that would relate to what had happened on February 28th in the initial BATF raid on Mount Carmel. Secondly, he's concerned about property damage in general, and it's clear from the tone of his voice that he suspects that something might be up, and that indeed the agreement that he feels he's reached with the FBI to write the manuscript and then exit peacefully could fall apart and not be carried out.
Is this John?
This Henry?
Oh, Henry, this is Dave.
Hi, Dave.
Look, the generals out here, right? You have a hard time controlling them, right?
I don't control them, no.
Okay. Well, look, we have done everything we can to be able to communicate in a nice, passionate way. We've, told you what our work with God is. And, we've been kind. We've not been your everyday kind of cult. We've not been your everyday kind of terrorist, which I'm sure you're familiar with having to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of things that the FBI or these generals are doing is just kind of way beyond the scope of reason. And they're not only destroying private property, they're also removing evidences. And this doesn't seem like that these are moves that should be made by a government who says to a people that we're going to be able to take this up in a court of law. I mean, they're not going to be able to replace a lot of things here, like that 68 SS El Camino that belonged to Paul Fanta.
Mm-hmm.
They'll never be able to replace that. They don't have any more of those. and the 68 Camaro and other things out here in the front,
Mm-hmm.
they can't replace that. They just can't replace it.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep doing these kind of things. It's just proving to us that they're not showing good faith in their part. And I just suggest they shouldn't do it.
I understand what you're saying, and I will impart that.
In all courtesies, please impart that, because it's come to the point to where God in heaven has somewhat to do also, and it's just really coming to the point of really what do you men really want?
I think what I'm just imparting to you what my perception is, and my perception is that what they want is they want you and everybody to come out.
I don't think so. I think what they're showing is they don't want that.
Well, I think that's exactly what they want.
No, they're not going to get that. They're not going to get that by what they're doing right now. They're going to get exactly the opposite. Exactly the opposite. They're going to get wrath on certain people. They're going to get anger from certain guys. Now, I can't control everybody here.
I think you can.
No, I can't. You got to understand, John.
Henry,
I'm sorry. In 1985, I presented a truth, and everybody that's here, I had to debate, and I had to talk to, and I had to show from scriptures. I had to prove my point for many hours, days, months, and sometimes years with certain people here.
Mm-hmm.
They went to scholars, they went to theologians. I have a very unique group here.
Yes, you do.
Not ignorant people, not stupid people. Now, there's some people that in the beginning, they went out like Kevin and Brad, individuals that were, people that were out there, bar rollers and stuff like that, rough and tough guys. Now, they're not the theologians of the world, but they're guys that need a lot of patience, and with a little bit of refinement, and a little bit of proof to them, they can be good people.
Mm-hmm.
But I would really, in all honesty and in good faith, tell these generals to back up. They don't need to tear up any more of this property. You tell us out of one side of the mouth we're going to be able to come back here and all this, and we're going to be able to take this up in court. And on the other hand, you're showing us that there's not going to be nothing to come back to.
I think the problem on this thing, David, is that this thing has lasted way too long.
Oh, it has. It should have never gotten started this way, and that was not our fault.
Okay.
Now, you don't wish to speak of the issues of the beginning of this.
No, I don't. And what the issues were, at that time is something else. The problem is not what the issues were at that time. The problem is this has lasted way too long.
I'm going to finish my book. Or I'm not going to finish my book.
I hope that you do.
Well, let me tell you this. These men, who every day we try to show them good faith, they've walked out in front of us, they've driven their tanks up to us, they busted in the side of a building a little bit one time. You said that was a mistake. It was not in your control. It wasn't in the commander's wishes. All of this has been showing us that these guys want to fight. Now, I don't want to fight. I'm alive too, and there's a lot of people in here that are alive. There's children in here.
That's right.
But we're also Americans, and I think that America has a patronage, a very clear patronage of individual citizens who have a breaking point.
Well,
now, if the government has gotten this strong, where it can come on to something that we have worked for hard. We worked hard when we got on this property. A lot of hard hours. This place was a dump. We fixed it up. We built this little house here. It's not extravagant. There's a lot of people here with a high commission and a lot of love and concern, not just for our own lives, but for everybody's lives. And if this is the way our government is showing the world that its tactics are to get someone to do as they wish, when realistically our rights have been infringed upon right and left.
But there's a way to resolve that, David.
Yes.
The way to resolve that is for you
your
to come
way,
out and
your way
lead
is
the people out.
you're going to keep destroying our property.
This probably would not have had to happen.
It never did have to happen.
That's right. And then, if you had come out on the day that you indicated, that you promised that you were going to come out, none of this would have taken place.
Look, you denounced the fact that I have a God that communicates with me. That's the first mistake that we make.
Nobody is saying anything about your religious beliefs. your thoughts, your ideas, or anything like that.
You're saying
the same things that you can do there, you could do out here.
That's what you say. I think that you are lying. As a matter of fact, I know that in the first month or so that I'm out, I'm going to be bombarded all the time with nothing but people wanting to know questions, asking this, asking that.
And if you were working on the 7 seals, I mean, nobody would bother you. I mean, why would that have to happen?
I have my responsibility also to you. Come on, look at the realities of things.
And the reality of things is that there are priorities, and your priority and everybody's priority should be in the safety of the children, the safety of the women.
You are fixing to ruin that. These commanders are fixing to ruin the safety of my and my children, my life, the lives of my wives, the lives of my friends, my family. You're fixing to step across the ribbon.
I think that was something that you brought on. It has nothing to do
all right,
with the
if I brought
David.
on, if this is the corner of the box you placed me into.
I think that you're placing yourself in that.
No,
David.
no, you're the one moving forward. You're the one who has violated, your generals have violated our constitutional rights. You have made us guilty before proven so. You actively brought a band of people who didn't announce themselves. They came. I was out the front door. I was willing to talk to them. They shot at me first.
See, now you're talking about
something you don't want to prove as a matter of a fact. You're telling me now. You tell me I'm under arrest. I have to come out and I have to
somebody is under arrest. That doesn't mean that you've already been proven guilty. It just means
no.
that
I'm being
charged.
punished. We've already been punished. We've been placed in jail. We're being punished as guilty.
Well, that is something that you chose for everybody inside.
That is not correct. That is something you chose as a confinement.
Because if you had walked out on that day as you promised, by now, who knows where we would have been. You know, you probably would be out on bail, for goodness sake.
Hey, John, all I can say is that if you want to place this in the history books as one of the saddest days in the world.
Well, I think that the rules for your safety still apply. There's no reason, to think that they shouldn't apply.
I understand your rules. I'm just simply asking you in all good faith and in all good manner for you to tell the generals it's enough to tear up our property.
I will tell them exactly what you said, but you need to understand that I'm talking up. It's not, talking down. So, what I suggest and what I will suggest is exactly what you said. I've suggested that, and I've suggested other things. I have no problem in, furnishing.
You tell them we love them, and,
And you're willing to send out 30 people?
Look,
50?
Whoever wants to go out.
No. Don't tell me that. Tell me that you're sending somebody out.
I'm not going to. You don't understand about these people yet.
And you don't understand about the people here yet, either.
Okay, well, if this is the way we want to play, then we come to a point
I'm not wanting
to where...
play anything.
Look, you are playing.
No, I'm
everyone
not.
Everyone in the tanks up there is playing.
No, nobody is. People just want to see some progress.
Look, some progress is being made. You don't realize what kind of progress is being made. There are people all over this world who are going to benefit from this book of the 7 seals. You don't seem to understand.
And what you don't seem to understand is that the people here want to see that kind of progress, but other kind of progress. There's no reason why you couldn't be doing the same very thing that you're doing now within the place.
It's not true. What you're saying is not based on the truth.
Why not? What do you mean it's not?
Because it's just not.
Your attorney is going to be your attorney whether you're in there or out here. Anything that you want, all you'd have to do is furnish it to him. Why would he not comply with your wishes?
The legal system is not the majority of the attorney. The legal system is a completely sophisticated, lots of Indian chief system. It's not just where you got one guy who's hired to speak in your behalf in a court case in front of a jury.
Yes, but
there's more to it than just. I was in jail in 1988.
And how did it come out?
It came out wonderful because it was
there
just
you
like
go.
There you go. Well, the thing of it is that you got to understand the amount of cost it takes to get that legal representation too.
Well,
and this was something that the sheriff's department got us in.
Well, That was then. You have an attorney now. You know, the same work that you're doing there, you could be doing out here.
More high-profile type situation. I just suggest that it would be a very bad thing for you to keep destroying all this evidence out here.
Well, you know, I really don't.
I mean, what are they doing? Are you covering up the ATF? That's exactly what it appears you're doing.
David, what we're trying to do is
it's wrong. You're doing wrong before God, before man. You are doing wrong. You're adding to your wrong.
David, you're the one that's doing wrong.
No.
You seem to have no concern about anybody within the place except yourself.
You know that we can't stay here forever.
Okay, well then send 50 people out. Send 50 people out right now.
The 50 you want to go out?
You don't have to ask. All you have to do is say, look, I want 50 volunteers, and they'll come out. If you send 50 people out.
They're saying that because of these things, they want to stay the more.
And I guess you have no control over anybody.
You got to understand, what I have
This is your responsibility. This is your responsibility because you're the leader. Their safety is in your hands. These people look...
The tape breaks off abruptly at this point, and I'll close this tape with a final short segment from Friday, April 16th.
Now, are you telling me, David, I want to get this clear in my own mind, are you telling me here and now that as soon as you reduce the 7 seals to a written form, that you're coming out of there? I don't mean 2 days later.
I have no reason not to.
I know what you're saying, but answer my question if you would, please. Definitely. I mean, I want to get an answer to this. Are you coming out as soon as you're done, or are you saying I'm coming out afterwards at some point in time?
After I get the thing, see, Dick, you don't seem to understand. We are going to fulfill our commitment to God. Now, if you would allow me to show you what has been pre-written by the prophets, you would know what I'm doing.
Well, I'm asking you a simple question, though.
And I'm giving you the simple answer. Yes, yes, yes. I never intended to die in here.
Hello, Jim.
Steve, how you doing?
Not too bad. Yeah, I was listening to the on the radio. I didn't see it actually on TV about the press conference that was given, and it's always entertaining to see what some of the ATF agents or the FBI agents are going to say, how they say it, the implication of it, the connotations used.
It's not very accurate, I don't know.
Well, number one, you know, I don't, like yesterday, I mean, like we were talking, how they gave the information out that guys here had a gun battle with the sheriff's department in '87. I mean,
well, that's not right.
You mean to tell me these agencies, with all the evidences, all the different equipment at hand and everything else, they can't get the facts together before they go national, international?
Well, they should.
I mean, that sounds nice, you telling me that they should, but you're in a position where you know, I'm cut off. I can't talk to anybody but yourself. So you can sympathize with me and say nice things to me like this, but when it keeps on coming out on the TV and like what was said about David in this conference earlier today, well, he's miraculously recovering, and then, of course, all the laughter. If you got to see what you guys did to him, I did. I thought he would have been dead within hours of that. He was laying on the floor. We dragged him along. He's never moved from that place.
Well, I know
That's the truth.
I know that.
And when you showed concern because you thought, like yourself, as did maybe Gary and Henry, that he would die. And I tell you the truth, we thought more than likely originally he would.
I'm glad he's been.
Well, yeah, I am too. But the you know, it's the way it was stated even to the press. Like, you know, it's a sarcasm to his, you know, with the Lamb and the 7 seals. Only the Lamb can open up the 7 seals. And then he's never claimed to be Jesus Christ. He never said he was.
I agree.
He did state that only the Lamb can open the 7 seals, and he offers to show people all throughout the Scriptures the 7 seals.
Right. Steve and I know that. And the only thing that they receive...
That way, Jim, God says who this person is. See what I'm saying?
I understand.
But I mean, well, do you have any kind of, probably no influence, but you probably can at least communicate. what about these conferences?
I promise that I will. And let me tell you that what we have communicated up there, Henry and I, is that, and I'm sorry, and I apologize for that comment on the TV that was made that way. If that man made it, it shouldn't have been done that way. But what we have passed up, okay, I want you to know.
Okay.
And that was that Sunday, David was hurting, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that was Sunday evening. You remember.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But it's these kind of sarcastic comments, the way they're, put out.
I think that was very inappropriate for them to do that, and I will pass that up, and I think it is inappropriate.
I mean, this is really, I really tell you the truth, I'm really teed off. I hate to see how this country of America has digressed, and your type of agencies are one of the biggest causes for it. Some of you young guys like yourselves, you have a job, you've become a professional in an area. At the same time, there is getting to be a big brother. You're part of it. You do your job right, you may have a family and so forth, but there's still a vigilance of freedom that needs to be kept up. Read the writings and the statements of people like Abraham Lincoln or Jefferson or Madison. The great principles laid down so things that are happening now that which you are more a part of than anybody would never take place. Like, I can't talk to the outside world. You've taken care of that, your kind of people. The press are so far back that you guys could come and blow us away, and you could give any kind of a story you wanted. But I don't care if you. Let me tell you something, Jim. I really don't care if you did or didn't in the first place. The point being, there is a God that you and I stand before, whether you and I believe it or not. And one day, all of us give an account. And I mean, this group does fear God first over man.
I believe that.
I know you believe that.
I know that.
But, it's starting to become annoying after all these days of sitting here. When I see this kind of stuff and you hear it on the radio, I mean, I've known for years what's been happening. No, listen to me, please. I just want to get something off my chest because, after a while it gets very annoying. For years and years, as a young person, I was into the study of history because one does not want to repeat the mistakes of others. I've always wanted to see why there was a First World War, why a Second World War. So in taking a lot of history classes through high school and so forth, many questions were raised but few answered. And the answers that were given never really made a lot of sense. There was not a lot of logic or sense to those answers. Then I started hearing about a group called the Council on Foreign Relations, a group called the Trilateral Commission.
I've heard of that.
I know, the Illuminati. Come to find out they're real organizations with the Rockefellers and all these great merchants behind all of these politicians only being puppets. But your agency and all those are part of that whole thing, taking away the freedoms of Americans, using innuendos and all sorts of the ways to go about doing it. More legislation, more regulations, more laws, so that ultimately a person has no freedoms. So taxed to death that you never have a choice with the hard-earned money you make to choose to where it should be paid.
Yeah.
I mean, think of this whole thing. But here you're a part of an agency, a part of the government that has done some of the most... I saw that Gun Owners of America, that video.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you ever got to view that one that talks about your agency, how you're lawbreakers, and what you did to those two policemen that were good cops all their life, all those 20 years out in New Jersey.
Right.
I mean, if that doesn't tee off an American that's into freedom, and I'm for your freedom also, for your freedoms of choice.
Right.
But what you guys have already showed me, what you did with the Weber case, I mean, that already bothered me, and here and now I'm involved in something like this.
Yeah.
Whatever happens to me, I hope that you have yourself right with God.
Mm-hmm.
That you're not part of an organization or part of something that, I mean, God condemns that kind of thing. You might think he condemns a lot of things we're doing from what you've heard about us, but you've gotten to hear a lot of things out of the mouth of David here.
Yeah.
And you go find your greatest theologian in the world. If there's some truth to that Bible, I think you said your background was Catholic?
Well, when I was a little boy, and then now I'm a Christian.
Whatever that means, I mean, I'm not a Christian. I've always wanted to be a Christian, but a Christian is something I have not seen in my whole lifetime. But anyway, aside from that, but, I'm again concerned about what's going on. All my years in this country of America, I've always loved the Constitution, the statements of men like Abraham Lincoln and Jefferson, some of these men. But this country is no longer what it was then. Now there's men that have very powerful men that those guys that do get into office, I mean, when you look at someone like Bush and Clinton, both associated to the Trilateral Commission, who are you voting for? Just like in the 80s, You had, what's his name, Anderson and Carter. Carter being the first member, the first one to become president in 76, handpicked by Rockefeller in 73. Every cabinet member belonged to the Trilateral Commission. What on earth is this? What's happened to this country? But you don't read about it in the press. Is it controlled is the question? Well, how come you don't get a broader view of things?
Yeah.
And those men that are on these talk shows even, right away, if there's someone in there that starts speaking logic or sense, or if they raise a question about your agency or anything else, who's watching the watchdog?
Right.
You understand? Who's watching the watchdog? Right away, they get usually taken off or their time is out. I mean, I've watched this all my life.
Right.
I've always considered myself to be a conservative, someone who is not into taxes, who's into the freedom of people, so that they can express themselves, they can create. They can do it as long as they're not hurting their fellow man. They're doing the best. But, I mean, that's not the way this country's degenerating to, and this is what the Bible shows in advance.
Right.
But, you know, me watching this, you know, like you hear this on the radio and so forth, here we go again. But maybe, if we're right, what we're telling you through the Bible, what David's showing you, there's going to be a one last time. People are going to be answering. There's going to be someone that's going to open up a book that has to do with your eternal salvation, my eternal salvation. If it's not him, it's going to be somebody.
Right.
And I could give you enough chapters of the Old Testament. It talks about a man that comes in the final days to one salvation, and they can't controvert it. That's what all these prophets of it. Totally unaware.
Yeah.
Because I've met with them myself, and they're quiet.
Debate, Steve, with you for those ministers. I mean, you're a pretty bright guy, and you know.
You know, some that said I can speak and this, that. There's many that can speak 10 times better. A being that has awareness, that experience good things, bad things. We all do. There's something wrong with a being that does not want that. However, why do we have to die? Why is there the problems that there are with and between? Life has been one of looking for the truth of my own awareness, my own being and direction. More, trying to help others see the same thing if they have an honesty of heart.
And I talked about this morning before he left, and
if the knowledge is only air, if it's only words in the air by a little culty group, I mean, so what? You know, I don't want to. I want to try to be honest with you. I don't want to play. You know, I don't know. You know, I've seen so many men like Gonzalez. From the beginning, I thought he was just. I didn't think he was honest, but I hope that hold nothing against the man. In fact, I still like the guy. I really do.
Well, I can see. I can appreciate.
Well, no, that part doesn't, because you know I can understand that situation. No, that's why I say that's not a problem. That have good minds, that are raising questions, basic questions with human freedom and realities with the Constitution, like why you guys did. They've never had harm from us.
Yeah.
But why didn't they come and serve him with? There is no question.
Right.
If you were on the ground or in an airplane watching, you will know for a fact you guys started firing on us.
Well, that needs to come out. You need
yeah,
to bring...
what about Weaver? What's happening with the Weaver tour? Let me see how you guys do and what kind of freedom.
Weaver. He walked out of there.
Wasn't it the boy?
That was a tragedy.
Yeah, well, why did you guys do that?
Well, the U.S. Marshal was killed, wasn't
he? I heard that they shot the dog first and the kid. Anyway, it sounds from all...
I agree with you. I mean, it was tragedy on both sides. It was terrible. And
I just wonder about BATF. I've heard not that many good things.
I've heard. I know.
But at the same time, I know there's good or bad people in religion and there are good. And I could even be... I mean, you know... So it's not that it's just one organization or one agent. Obviously, you know, after hearing all this, you know, one becomes very concerned. Here we go with the same old stories we've seen and heard all the time, and the truth always gets buried. Does one really get an opportunity to speak out and to try to defend themselves?
You know,
I've seen, I don't know if you have, but I've seen in a court of law many times judges cut off someone that was trying to speak to bring out information.
I don't disagree with you, but I've also seen the other side where judges
rare and few between.
Well, they're forced the truth, and they want the truth.
To a meeting where a priest was leading out, my dad was asking something. I mean, I'm raised as an Adventist, but then in high school, I got away from it. I wanted to try.
In the last few days, and you've been straight, and through this straight, and I just want to tell you that I appreciate that. I really do. I really do. I always wonder what some of those churches do with that money, don't you?
Well, yeah. Well, I'll tell you, like all these churches are worth billions of dollars.
They buy a bunch of gold statues and.
Well, that's some of them. You know, like the Eastern Orthodox companies, where say something like some of the Protestants, the Adventists, for instance, which I was part of, have billions of dollars from tithes and offerings that they put into money orders, into the stock market and so forth.
I'll tell you, there's some people. That's right.
Well, of course it isn't. Of course it isn't.
I mean, there's some.
But anyway,
that's
but
manipulated.
see, what I was saying though is how I finally got involved in such raising questions they could not answer. Even when they kicked me out, the very day they did, all I wanted to do was raise questions about some of these scriptures you do not know anything about, or if you do, show me or tell me. They removed me not because I was an adulterer, because I smoked or drank, because I didn't do those things anyway, or because I didn't go to church or whatever else. Because there were people in that church that did do all the things that were against their very views and anybody what they do unless you raise issues to do with something that is true, the realities of God. So ultimately, my wife and I and many others were removed.
All right, he wants me.
Pardon?
All right, I'm saying, and I'm working on two things.
Okay.
One is
bugged.
No, it's not going to be bugged. And those dogs.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, can you tell me for a fact ahead of time though that it won't be? I want you to tell me that, and then I won't even have a problem. You talking to me.
Right.
Whatever you tell me, I'm going to take.
Right.
Waiting to give you guys an opportunity to show your honesty and so forth.
We're not going to bug
in behalf of all the agents.
Okay, you got it.
Okay, good.
And if you feel differently, don't you?
And that you take our calls, but you'll call us a lot of times the phone. Whoever the guy is, I think it's Jamar or whatever the guy's name is, get it straight.
You guys asked us for a phone.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
For a week. I mean, we're not trying to trick you.
No, if you get back to me.
Yeah, and don't let those guys walk out because I don't want to, I mean...
Bye.
And I'll be able to get back with him in a little while.
Just wait on that for now because he needs to work on that. He doesn't want when he can do it. He said okay.
Okay, yeah.
I'm with you, but he's been begging me ever since I've got on the phone to talk.
This is?
What?
You know who this is?
Yeah.
Who?
Nothing much.
Nothing much?
Yeah, because there's the bed's on the floor.
Uh-oh. You got any good toy? Like a truck or something?
A motorcycle's my favorite thing.
Oh, I bet it's... Well, you must be pretty big. How old are you, 7?
That much.
No?
No.
Nothing. It's a cowboy 6-shooter?
Yeah.
Okay in there?
Yeah.
Okay. You like those?
Yeah.
Yeah. And your moms and stuff, and everybody to stay together. Come on out. Yeah.
I sprained my foot.
You spanked your foot.
I can walk a little, though.
How did you do that? They're out here, and when you come out, we'll have them look at it.
Is Mark?
No, they're together, but they're not right where I am. They were here. They came out, and we gave them some Coke and candy, and they got a ride in that tank.
Oh.
They thought it was a bumpy ride. A ride? Have you ever ridden in a tank?
No.
Yeah, I think it'd be neat, don't they? Did later. The tank drove them to a car, and then they got in the car. And they came up.
And dropped them off into the car, and then the car took them to your bike. I like airplanes.
Do you?
Yeah.
When you come over, you can see all the... You like helicopters?
Yeah.
They got helicopters there. And I'm inside this big, giant hangar. You wouldn't believe...
Car?
Yeah, if you... Gee, come on out. Tell your mom you want to come, and You got to tell your mom. Thank. And I'll call it.
Tanks are kind of bumpy.
Yeah, I know, but just for a little while, they're all right. So I bet there's not too many kids you know that have seen take your picture and show you what it looks like with you in that tank. Oh, where'd they take him?
Make him take his.
Oh, I didn't see it and do that. I don't know.
Well, that's what they did.
Oh, they did? It's okay though. Mark was fine with him. He was fine.
He was really happy when he got there and he talked to his mom.
Yeah. And I said, "How's that tank?" And he said, "It's fun, but it's bumpy." Then he was able to get in a car, police car. You ever ridden in a fire truck?
A what? Yeah, maybe, but I wouldn't want to drive in one.
How come you didn't let the children have those puppies? The children had those puppies.
What we did, we took them to a vet.
Well, we heard on the radio that they
I can't hear you, barely. Be inoculated, vaccinated, and cute little things.
Mm-hmm.
What are they, Malamutes or something?
Well, that yard blocked off so that, they wouldn't get inside. I don't know how he got in, jumped over.
Huh.
Oh, so he jumped over, and he was not a Malamute. So,
Oh, I see.
but the Malamutes were.
Yeah, I saw.
They have black and white in them. Do they have gray at all? White. Maybe have some brown and different colors in them. You know, it's
right.
Look.
I love dogs. They're
Yeah, well, we just wanted to, get them out of here because they did need some special, having to feed them out of baby bottles.
Well, hey, that's exactly what the vets find, except they're just so little that, Is there some other dogs out there?
Other dogs?
Yeah, is there?
Well, those are right in the front yard. We had some others, and they were just roaming. Get rid of them, and after a while, we just stopped trying to get rid of dogs.
Mm-hmm, I understand.
Because
well, how's David doing?
I can't even see him.
Rach? Hi. Hey,
Fine.
you gonna come out and see me?
Huh?
You gonna come out and see me? This is Jim. All right. Will that be good?
Talking to her.
Oh, your dad's talking to her? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Rach, Bonnie Haldeman supposed to be going with the Health and Human Services people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what they told me.
Of which ones?
Well, apparently them she wants. I don't know how many grandchildren she has there.
Oh, okay.
Because,
I would rather have him with somebody close.
Okay, well, sometimes...
Anyway, Steve wants to talk to you, okay?
Okay.
David said to tell you he'll be having a baby here in a little bit.
Oh, no, no.
Not...
I know what you mean.
Not him, but someone else.
Oh, is one of the ladies really having a baby?
He said it's one of the ladies having a baby. He said, is that today? No, not today.
No. Hey, if they're that close, though, do we need to send them out?
He said they're that close, we need to send them out. Someone come in, like a midwife or something.
Oh, then we can't let anybody come in. Okay. Rach?
Yeah.
Okay. You sure you don't want to let them come out? We'll get them to the hospital.
They don't, if they don't want to, they don't want to.
Well, I understand.
So if you don't want to let a midwife come in, then we'll just have to do it ourselves.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I understand. That's your decision. If you need anything, we won't let a doctor in to help David.
I thought that's what you said to me.
No. I have a doctor's wounds.
Okay.
And I will advise you that the doctor says this. We can't send anyone in, because, they wouldn't go.
All
They'd be afraid,
Steve wants to talk to you, okay?
Okay.
This is the 29th of September, 1996. I'm Doe. Doe probably doesn't mean anything to many of you. To those that have heard of Doe, I might relate Doe to Tian Doe of UFO 2 or of a UFO cult that made some splash in the news 1975 and disappeared from the scene shortly after that. And some of you have heard some efforts that we have had to try to share a little bit of what we have learned with the public periodically between 1975 and now. We put out a statement called 88 Update in 1988, and we did a little videotape a little while after that. I think it was 91, 92, called Beyond Human. Now today is quite a different urgency. It's urgent to me, it's urgent to the students that sit before me. Our reason for speaking to you is because we feel urgently to warn you of what we are about to say. To try to just put it as briefly as I can put it and as clearly as I can put it, that doesn't mean it's going to be destroyed. It doesn't mean it's the end of the world. But it does mean that it's going to be recycled, refurbished. Now, you can say, well, who are you to say that? And I'll tell you who I am. As to whether or not you believe who I am or not is up to you. And whether or not you believe that it's going to be recycled or refurbished is up to you. Now, the purpose of this tape is to warn you that that is about to happen, and that it's going to happen very soon. If I would title this tape, it would be Last Chance to Evacuate Planet Earth Before It is Recycled. Last chance to evacuate Earth before it is recycled. If you've read any of our teachings, the information that we have, you know that our discipline is strict, that we teach overcoming human ways, overcoming human addictions. The purpose of that is not for religious reasons or for morality or in order to become righteous. The purpose of that is to go to the heavens. Humans have some idea, because of what the negative forces have let them believe or have led them to believe. Humans have the idea that through religion, that if I live a good life, then I get to go to heaven when I die. And they don't know what heaven is, but they think that heaven is where God is, and heaven is where whoever the leader of their religion is, and they'll get to go be with them if they've lived a good life by whatever standard their religion was. The fact is that there is only one kingdom level, a kingdom level, just like there's a human kingdom. There's only one kingdom level above the human kingdom, and that kingdom level made the human kingdom and designed the planet, designed all of its resources, designed all of its life forms, designed humans, and designed humans even with the potential of leaving the human kingdom in order to go to the kingdom level above human. Now, the startling thing to many is that the kingdom above human is physical. There's some idea that the kingdom above human is spiritual, as if it's limited to being spiritual. It is spiritual in the sense that if you think of mind as synonymous with spirit, and you become something that identifies with your mind instead of the suit of clothes you wear, then it is spiritual, because that becomes your identity. Even if you're in the human world and humans identify with the mind that they have, or the spirit that they have, remember those two are synonymous. If they identify with that mind, then they don't think that they die when the body they're wearing drops. They think that they move into another world. And they move out of the body. Whether they move into another world depends upon whether they're connected or not, or what their information is, or what they are capable of knowing or doing, what they've been willing to learn. You know, the next level, or the evolutionary level above human, oops, I said that bad word, evolutionary level, because religious people think, ooh, evolution, does this mean that we don't believe in creation? That's the most ridiculous thing that someone could think, is that evolution is not a part of creation. That kingdom level created everything that is, or made everything that is, and among those things it made a number of things that advance in an evolutionary progression. So to speak of that level above, we shouldn't be afraid to use the word evolutionary level above. It's not really an evolutionary level above in that creatures here can advance to that kingdom level, because they can't. That sounds strange. Well, they can, but they can't on their own. the same evolutionary level that created the human kingdom has to come into the human kingdom and offer life to them, has to offer information to them, has to offer substance of mind to them, has to create, or if the recipient is thirsty enough for that mind, and that recipient then finds that they have found a source that is from that level, that is in their presence, physically in their presence. Don't forget, it's not a spiritual kingdom. It exists with an identity of mind or spirit, but it wears physical bodies. Do you look at the heavens at night, and why do you see physical bodies in the heavens? If it was a spiritual heaven, you wouldn't see any of those bodies. They would all be etheric. But you see those heavenly bodies. You see only a tiny, tiny fraction of those physical bodies in the kingdom of heaven. That doesn't mean that our Heavenly Father's kingdom, or the kingdom of God, or the evolutionary level above human, is anything less because it has physical characteristics. It has all characteristics. Everything that you can talk about came from them, including evil, including the design of everything that can lead you to go astray by, if you listen to the wrong sources. You could say that couldn't possibly be true. There is nothing that was not created by the kingdom level above human. And the reason they created everything that there is, including negative options, is so that you could become exactly what you chose to become when you had the opportunity to become it. Now, the only time we have an opportunity to leave the human kingdom and go to the kingdom level above human is when there is a member from that kingdom level, incarnate in human form, taking that body and saying to you, I'll tell you about a kingdom level beyond here, and if you want to go there, then you have to follow me, because I'm the guy who's got the key at the moment. Whatever representative is sent from that kingdom level and comes into the human kingdom, then that's the representative that has that key to that kingdom for that period of time. And it requires that you, if you move into that evolutionary kingdom, that you leave behind everything of human ways, human behavior, human ignorance, human misinformation. Long time ago, long before this civilization began, and I don't know how many subsequent times this occurred, that kingdom level had a representative in a human civilization, and members of a classroom that were in the process of overcoming their human characteristics. Some of those members that began to serve in elementary ways for that kingdom level above human, some of them decided that they didn't want to listen to that representative anymore, that they could do the things they wanted to do, and they weren't sure they wanted to get rid of human ways. And so they began to find fault in the representative that was offering them a way out of the human kingdom. Well, you know the story from there. Fallen angels, Lucifer, Satan, a third of the heavens, following a renegade that decided, this world is not for me. I can be my own God. I don't need that kingdom level. I resent that I cannot be my own individual. I can't lead my own flock. Well, that kingdom level above human let that individual and their following lead their flock, let them do what they wanted to do, and used it for means that could serve a purpose in the design of the next level progression. And that very evil presence is thick on this planet because it's the end of an age. It's so thick that it would not have you believe a word I say, and have you not accept anything that I tell you, so that you will not be a recipient of the kingdom they left, they got booted out of, and they want no one to go there. They don't think that it is the only kingdom level. They are resentful. They are in opposition to the real kingdom level above human. Don't forget, the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven. Now, end of age, end of civilization, is the worst time for presences of that level. I mean, of those who, of the renegade level, those that were students of that level and went renegade. When you read in historical data that there was also a hell, and there is a hell, and the hell is where those evil forces are, you can imagine that part of that hell is planet Earth. When those evil individuals, or those who chose to go awry, those followers of Lucifer, of Satan, when they went awry, they were then booted out of the kingdom level above human and confined to not only planet Earth, but any other planet with this type of gravity and other environments that could serve as a natural environment for a human level. They need a human civilization. They use bodies from human civilization. They make hybrid bodies because they have to continue to live. Don't forget, they had learned what spirit was. They had learned to separate their mind, their spirit, from a human body, and their identity was not lost if they lost a body. They learned to move out of that body without losing their consciousness, even take another body that was prepared for them and invade that body and take it over, and they could sustain the life of it. And for the most part, as far as they are concerned, they are taking advantage of the plants, the human plants, the creatures of this civilization, using them for their own means. While the kingdom level above human is in close because of our presence, assisting us, and they are in close, those aliens, I call them aliens because one way you could speak of them is space aliens, evil space aliens. They're not really space aliens because they can't go in except a very limited part of space. They're confined to environments where there are mammalian, human equivalent, or human civilizations existing. They feed off of them. They need their bodies. So they're not really broad space aliens, but, you know, the common term is space alien. And I don't mind calling them space aliens. But because certainly the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven, the evolutionary level above human, when they're present here, they certainly wouldn't be called aliens because this is their garden. They made it. We are their experiments. We are their creatures. We are their creations. They made us, everything that we are. Now, I've got to go back to the beginning of this tape because I don't want you to listen to my philosophy, my ideology, the knowledge that I have. I want you to be aware that the focus is on the fact that this is the end of the age. At the end of the age, the planet is wiped clean, refurbished, rejuvenated. The mess that the humans have made of it during the civilization that was on it, the mess they have made is cleaned up, it is healed. It's probably done on fast forward. It probably wouldn't take very long to do it by standards of human time. But even if it took 1,000 years to do it, that's a very brief time. We don't know how long it's going to take to do it. We can't estimate that because we're talking two different times anyhow. I mean, I'm trying to relate to you in human time, and yet I am more at home in relating to the time of the next level. But if this planet is about to be recycled, spaded under, refurbished, and the only ones that get to leave it are the ones who want to leave. The only ones who survive the recycling are the ones who want to leave, have found a guide, someone that can give them the information they need to leave, or give them the information that will eventually lead them to leaving. Now, what I mean by that is that during the time that we're here. And, you know, here I am, I'm Doe of T and Doe, of the little religious UFO cult. And yet, because that's what the world dubbed us. And yet, T, who is my father, who is my older member, who gave me birth in the kingdom of heaven long before this civilization. T was here with me on this particular mission. Now, let me describe this mission for a moment. T left in Earth time, 1985, because T had assisted enough that it was time to turn responsibility over to Doe, and for me then at that time to begin a more serious communication with my older member, and to be dependent upon it and reliant upon it. Now, when T and I were awakening, because we entered this environment to any significant degree in the early 70s. We entered in the early 70s. You're looking at the body I'm wearing, you're saying, you're certainly more than 20-something years old. The body I'm wearing is, wow, 65 years old. Yes, the body is that old. I entered at the same time my older member entered, which was in the early 70s. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Whether I'm New Age or what, I'm not that I'm New Age, but whatever your belief is regarding reincarnation, you could think, well, I don't understand. Reincarnation occurs at the beginning of an infant's life. No, I'm sorry to say that's not accurate. A mind begins when that infant is born, and that genetic package that's in that infant begins to express itself as that mind develops, and it is a mind, it is a spirit. But then a spirit or a mind that had previously occupied another human plant, but has gone into the spirit world, or is outside of a body because it lost its body from death or whatever, but is in the environment, can move in and take over that vehicle and be stronger than the mind that is the mind of that vehicle. In other words, it can invade that vehicle, it can take it over, it can pretty much keep the mind of that vehicle quiet and do what it wants to do with that vehicle. Now, the lower forces know this. They teach spirits to do this after they leave their bodies. They let them know that they're capable of doing that. You can say, you mean that you and T came into bodies in 72, so you're body snatchers, in a sense. Well, if the level above human made this garden and its design, made the human plants for their purposes, and my father sent T and my grandfather, T's father, sent us into this environment with a crew that had work to do, and yet we did come in and prep the vehicles. We actually took even this plant that I'm wearing, this vehicle that I'm wearing, and the plants of the crew, the classroom, the plant that T chose to wear, those were all set aside in a sense. A deposit of a little bit of information was put in those plants that set them aside for the time that the mind was to significantly come in. And therefore the mind that is now in here is almost like cannot relate to what that plant was prior to the time that it came in significantly. So who the plant was that I'm now wearing prior to the early 70s is just a fuzzy, dismal memory, because it's just like taking on a suit of clothes that had a history to it. And if I tried, I could invade some of that history and dredge it up, but it's so unattractive to me, and it's such a low vibration to me, if I can use that word without sounding New Age to some. But it's repulsive to me because it's certainly very human, because this vehicle certainly indulged in human behavior, human addictions, human ways, as every other human does. But when T and Doe were brought into this environment in the early 70s. A spacecraft brought us in. Remember, it's a physical world. Spacecraft brought us in, and actually we came in first and made deposits, our little information deposits, in our vehicles when they were infants. So that means we had to come in the 20s and 30s, and then we had to come in and make deposits in the vehicles of all the classroom that's sitting here in front of me. You know, several dozen individuals sitting here in front of me. Their vehicles had to have little deposits made in them at the various times that those vehicles were infants. And now it's difficult to accept the information that I'm telling you. If you knew how to interpret some of the religious documents that have been left for you, you would interpret them exactly as I am telling you. But it's not popular to do that. The lower forces would have you interpret that information, those documents, entirely differently, because the lower forces, Satan, Lucifer, fallen angels, all of those that are against the real kingdom of God, they would have you not reach that kingdom. They are delighted to serve as your God. They will give you the things that will make you happy in this world. If you want to, you can praise their name and ask for riches, ask for anything that you want. They will give you the things that you want and make you feel good about it. It's even so popular today in religions that God wants you to live an abundant life. And so ask Him for what your needs are. He doesn't want you to be raggedy and poor. And of course that's true, He doesn't. But that doesn't justify seeking a kingdom here instead of seeking His kingdom. You don't seek His kingdom unless you seek to get out of this kingdom. You can't have both. His kingdom is never going to coexist with the human kingdom. That's impossible. That's like the humans getting down on their all fours and existing with the dog kingdom and having an exchange there, and the humans staying and restricted to dog houses and restricted to dog food and restricted to dog behavior. It doesn't make any sense. Why would the kingdom that made the human kingdom find fulfillment in the human kingdom? Now, a remarkable thing exists, the most remarkable thing that you can possibly imagine, and that is their design was that they could make these little mental deposits in human plants. We'll call those deposits, for sake of understanding, we'll call them soul. And those little deposits are really just like a little bit of hardware or a little capacity for information. It's a storehouse for information. And in that little soul there is a little bit of next level mind. And wherever that next level made those deposits in human plants of souls, there is a little bit of information in those souls, and that little bit of information can permit the person who has that soul to actually recognize the kind of information that I am passing to you now. Now, even as you listen to me, you might recognize it, but the lower forces and your genetic programming, everything says, oh, don't listen to that. Don't listen to that. That's horrible. That's the Antichrist, or that's not God as I know it. That's something altogether different. I'm afraid that what you have been listening to, I am not blaming you for listening to it. You hardly stood a chance. The lower forces, these forces have been so strong and have developed so strong that they have just brainwashed and kept totally intoxicated humans at every level around the globe, so that they're totally preoccupied with make money, put it in the bank, have more children, have more grandchildren, send them to college, leave all this so that they can have a future and they can have a future and they... What is that? That's extend human kingdom, extend human kingdom, extend human kingdom. Oh yes, we go to church once in a while and we talk about heaven, talk about kingdom of heaven, but we really it's like most people don't even want to touch it because they don't really know what it is. They just have to have the faith that, oh, well, that's what I go to if I've been good. And I just have to trust that that's what I go to. That doesn't make any sense. Well, you can say, why are you telling me it doesn't make any sense? That's where my trust is. That's where my faith is. I know that it is. It's not your fault. I know that's where your trust is. I know that's where your faith is. And I'm desperate to give you help so that you can leave this place. Now, 3 kinds of individuals can have a possible future with the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven. One kind of individual that can have a future are those who have had deposits of souls and have started, a few minutes ago I started to tell you this remarkable design, and I've got to go back to it. This remarkable design is what a soul can become, how a soul can be deposited in a human vehicle, and those deposits are made at a time right prior to a representative of the kingdom level above human coming into the human kingdom, taking a human body, and telling the truth about what the human kingdom really is, what the kingdom level above human really is, and giving that information a chance to build in those souls. Now, if a human plant has a soul, then that human plant has to find someone who is from that kingdom level. And that individual is here to try to help those get information that can lead them out of the human kingdom. So that individual is going to say, I'm from the kingdom of heaven. Oh my goodness, how blasphemous can someone be? Say, I'm from the kingdom of heaven. How can they offer anything if they don't identify who they are? They're saying, you want to go to heaven? I'm here. I'm sent here for the express purpose of helping you get to the kingdom of heaven. Now, the remarkable little process that happens, if a human plant, if an individual who has that little deposit of soul hears that voice that says, I'm from the kingdom of heaven, I can help you go to the kingdom of heaven, then that individual experiences severe pain and begins to break away from the world and begins to physically go to and be with that representative from that kingdom of heaven, knowing quite well that they're testing all the time, is this really someone from the kingdom of heaven or from the level above human? Or because if it isn't, I don't want to get caught up in some cult. I don't want to listen to somebody who could lead me astray. But if it is somebody from the kingdom of heaven, then if I'm interested and if I've got that little bit of information in my head, then I'm going to have some awareness that there could be some truth in what that individual is saying who says they're from the kingdom of heaven. Don't forget, a couple thousand years ago, there was a representative from the kingdom of heaven, or the evolutionary level above human, present, and he said, I'm from the kingdom of heaven. Go tell the good news. He told his followers, go tell the good news about kingdom of heaven is here, meaning this is your chance. I'm here. I can take you out of here. I can lead you into that kingdom level above human. But he also said, that can't happen unless you leave the human world that you're in and come and follow me. Come and follow me. That didn't mean on Sundays. Didn't mean part-time. It meant totally. Leave everything and come follow me. And you can say, well, my information says that's terrible. Well, you check it out. Go read your New Testament. Go read the little red letters in the New Testament. See what that representative actually said. Unless you leave everything and follow me, unless you hate everything of this world and come and follow me, you will not know my Father nor his kingdom. Go read it. It's long. It's thorough. It's remarkable that it's still there. I'm sure that the level above human had to intercede, because I'm sure that the lower forces would have long ago had that eliminated from documents that people would call religious documents or religious literature. Every religion is less than the truth. It becomes religion when it is less than the truth. Now, every religion can prepare an individual to be more prepared for the time when a representative from the level above human comes in. So it's not like that the level above human is available only to whites or blacks or Jews or Christians or Muslims or whatever the case might be. It's open to anyone who, when a representative is present, chooses to leave all behind, follow that representative, graft to that representative, and as that grows, as they take in more, now they're not really taking in the mind of the representative, because the mind that is in the representative is not his mind. The mind that comes through me, we're in bad shape if it's my mind. It's mine because it was given to me by my older member and by the kingdom level above me, but it is not of me. I do not care this planet, and I do not care for it, but I do care to glorify the level above human. I care to glorify my Father who gave me life. It's hard for me to speak of that without weakening, as you can observe, one that is not human. Now, the mind that is filling that soul came from the kingdom level above human, the kingdom of God. So that means that even what fills that soul came from that kingdom. And therefore that new creature becomes something that is of or even from that kingdom. It's the most interesting way that a creature comes into being. It's like how babies are made in the kingdom level above human. Certainly not in mammalian ways. Certainly not in acts that are abhorrent to them. Now, that doesn't mean that it's evil to have an act of reproduction at the human kingdom. It's evil if I'm leaving the human kingdom, certainly. It is evil because it's barbaric, it's primitive, it's beneath me. The members in the kingdom level above human are not mammals. There are no males, there are no females. They don't need to consume things that require fangs or teeth. They can receive nourishment from a pill or a simple wave or vibration that they would walk through. Depending upon the environment that they're in determines what the vehicle that they are wearing or the suit of clothes that they are wearing for that task requires. Now don't forget, they are mind synonymous with spirit. They are not the suit of clothes, but they wear physical suits of clothes. And those physical suits of clothes look very much like what I started to say like extraterrestrials, but most renditions of human artists of extraterrestrials are the most grotesque things that you can possibly imagine. Look like some praying mantis or some insect that has some crazy shape or form, and that's ridiculous. They are perfectly beautiful suits of clothes. They are perfectly beautiful bodies, neither male nor female. They don't need to have hair that needs to be cut. They don't need to have curlers. They don't need to use makeup. It's a body that exists, except when it has to go to a place like planet Earth. It's a body that exists, for the most part, in a non-destructive environment. So it's potentially an eternal body, a everlasting body. Now, I don't like to use terms like everlasting because bingo, it sounds like I'm talking spiritual talk or religious talk. Don't forget, religion is less than truth. Spiritual talk is less than truth. It is an abuse of truth. It is a replacement for truth that the lower forces have brought in. The more religious you are, the more you become dependent upon artificial information that would lead you away from the truth. It's just like the rituals and the prayers and the trappings that go with religion. They can be so addictive, they can be so soothing, they can be so calming, that they feel so wonderful, and to drop those things for a reality that is a kingdom level above human that does not need those things is a difficult thing to do. It's as difficult to drop religious trappings as it is to drop attachments that the plant that you were wearing had. Those attachments to offspring or to spouse or to parents of those plants. Funny thing is that in reality, those parents, human parents, do not possess the offspring they have. It's a very evil thing for them to think that they are theirs, that they are products of theirs, property of theirs, rather than wanting for that spirit, that mind that is in that body that they supplied for that mind or spirit, instead of wanting it to become what it wants to become. The humans are programmed by the alien forces, or the space aliens, or the negative creatures. They're programmed to have you believe that children owe their parents, parents possess their children. That is not true. It is cruel to even think that way. The more next level way of thinking is to want that individual to have their life, and not to be selfish and say, well, I brought you into this world, I want to cling to you, you owe me because that doesn't hold up. I mean, they didn't ask you to bring them in. That's one thing they could say. Is there some document that says that that child owes its parent, or its... Now, the parent is responsible for the child because the parent made the choice of creating, reproducing, or replicating another plant. And since they made that choice, or they did an action, oh yeah, we get down to that, don't we? Reproduction, human reproduction. Why, the worst thing you could imagine is for humans to be taught by these space aliens, even using their religions and their government morality to teach them, is that the act of reproduction is a God-given, wonderful thing. It's God-given in the sense that dogs and horses came from God. Everything came from the kingdom of heaven, including humans and human reproductive systems. But if the kingdom of above human, the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven, what they want is to offer you their kingdom, which they very systematically do periodically, but it requires that when they do, you listen to them, and that you do what they require if you want to get out of the human kingdom. And to get out of the human kingdom requires you leave the human kingdom and go and follow someone who can lead you to the kingdom level above human. Now, I told you a little while ago there are pretty much three types of individuals that can avoid the spading under at the end of an age. One would, of course, be those souls that souls that were deposited, and those souls were awakened, and those souls received nourishment, and left everything behind, and became attached to, grafted to, a representative from the level above human, and separated from everything. Now, I've got a bunch of these individuals sitting in front of me that I may be mistaken, but I don't believe that any of them had the beginning of their next level life in this time period, in this generation. I know that every one of them were in the keeping of the kingdom level above human before they came into this time period. This time period was a chance for them to learn a lot of things that they didn't learn very well, or didn't get a chance to complete, or they needed to work more on as far as separating from the human kingdom. They're having an opportunity to develop that more so that they don't have to be planted back in a human garden in another time, so that they can move into the kingdom level above human, take on costumes or suits of clothes or bodies that belong to the human kingdom, and serve and do their work in the human kingdom. You know, I can hear some of those humans who are watching this tape now saying, oh my goodness, if I did what you would do, I would not even be a humanitarian. I would be forsaking my responsibility to the human kingdom. You have to forsake the kingdom level beneath you if you expect to ever know service in the kingdom level above human. You can't do both. You can't do, 12 hours a day I'll work for the human kingdom, 12 hours a day I'll work for the kingdom level above human. No, it requires everything you have. Even with everything you have, you'll get to leave in their keeping when they leave, or when they come and pick you and the representative up and go back to their world, and there are many places of where they can reside. But if you have not done the change to the degree of their satisfaction in order to stay in that kingdom level and work in that kingdom level, then you will have to be replanted. So one type of individual that is served by a representative being here is one that has previously started the changeover of becoming a new creature, a member of the kingdom level above human. Another type is one who has been involved in that, recognizes the representative, recognizes the information of the next level that is coming through the representative, knows it's true, and has not yet had the strength to complete it, but still trusts the next level, still believes that that is the only truth, still whatever faith they have and trust they have, that's where it is, and they will be kept in the keeping of the kingdom level above human and replanted at another time and given another chance. However, even though that kingdom level is fair, just because someone with a deposit of soul comes to them is no guarantee they get the kingdom level above human. When they come, even they can apply to the best of their, big question mark, this next word, ability or capability. It takes a lot of effort, and even your effort cannot get you there. I have to please my older member. When I first took my birth into that kingdom level, it was because I pleased my teacher, my older member, the one who gave me birth into that kingdom. No matter how hard I work, that work is no good if it doesn't please my older member, the one who took me into that kingdom. That is still true. It not only has to please, in other words, this classroom here, they not only have to please me, they have to please my older member. So just because they're sitting here having left their world behind does not mean that they will receive a body or a suit of clothes belonging to that level. Okay, let's say they try to the best of their ability, and they, according to the next level's standard, they're not quite ready for a body belonging or service in that kingdom level. If they did the best that they could and they still pleased their teacher and pleased their teacher's teacher, then they will have a future. They'll be replanted, have another time for a representative to come into human kingdom, have that nourishment. Now that's the second type. So one is the type of soul that becomes a new creature, is ready to go into the kingdom level above human, receive a body, begin service. Two is one who's in the process of that but doesn't quite make quartermaster, not quite ready to have a body because of more work that needs to happen as far as separating from human. We'll talk about some of the work that is required in separating. The third type is, and this is a very interesting phenomenon, during the time that the next level is close to a planet because they have a representative there, and they're communicating continually with that representative, then there is mind of the next level present that even the lower forces can tap and take advantage of and increase their scientific awareness and their technical advancement and all. Now, how long has the next level been here with me and my older member since the early 20s. Well, think of the advancement that's taking place on the planet as far as technical advancement, scientific advancement, since the early 20s, because of that presence that was here, that all creatures here could draw upon and use, including lower creatures that are here who don't believe they want to go to my Father's kingdom at all. They want to remain human. Okay, 3 types. 1, those ready for quartermaster. 2, those not quite ready. And the 3rd type, those who recognize the information of the next level and are attempting, even without knowing of the representative's presence, they're attempting to break away in their own way. Now, when they attempt to break away in their own way, not even aware that I'm here or that my older member has been here at this particular time, they, somehow or other, they find themselves with others who are breaking away. And that usually means that they're finding themselves surrounded with people that say, what's wrong with you guys? You crazy? You know, you're dropping out of, you're leaving your career. You're not paying attention to your children. I mean, this happens a lot. People go into what the mainstream likes to call cults, breaking away. People who love their God so in their own way that they end up being like what happened at Randy Weaver, Ruby Ridge, what happened at Waco, what happens in nations that who even in their government they want to honor God, listen to God entirely, instead of taking man's laws, man's requirements, man's rules. They are breaking away. They're conscious that there's some presence of God here. I want to go that direction. I'll even put my life on the line in order to go in that direction. I am not qualified to specifically tell you who all these various types are, but I've given you some illustrations. It's like even in patriot movements or militia movements or in cults or in this type of religious radical or another that know that this world is rotten and that I would rather die in service to my interpretation of what God is than stay here. Those souls, those little spirits, those minds will be saved. They will be put aside, they'll put on ice, so to speak, and have a future, have a time down the line, have another planting in another civilization for further nourishment. What does this add up to? This adds up to that the ones who love this world and love the human kingdom and say to me and all those like me, or all those I've just discussed, all those various categories, that they're nuts, they're crazy, they're radicals, they're against the world, they're not human, they're inhumane, they're tyrannical, or they're terrorists, or they're... Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not advocating violence. I'm not advocating going out and trying to create some war. The war that is a natural phenomenon that comes with the end of an age, the war is forced upon those who want to leave this place. It's not anything that we have to do or we have to create. And some mistakenly aware that that will happen, even some who want to get to the kingdom level above human, feel responsible for creating those wars. They don't have all the pieces right. But if they're doing it for the right reasons, not me, but my Father and my Father's Father and the kingdom level above human says they love me more than they love the world. And they love me more than they love the world during the time that I have a representative present. And I will honor that. I will extract them. I will put them aside. I will give them a planting at another time. Well, you know, one of the things that disturbs me the most is that those who are very religious, by whatever name, are usually those who had been recipients of souls, information, a little bit of information, a little deposit from the kingdom level above human. And the lower forces were aware of that. And so the lower forces do everything they can to keep those individuals from ever knowing the kingdom of God. So they come in and offer them the kingdom of God through their religion. But it's totally counterfeit. It's totally false. It's concerned with healing your cancer, healing this that's wrong, or fixing your pocketbook, or making your business right, or doing all the things to extend your life here, and above all, tend to that family, tend to that future, tend to things. We're going to leave a future for our children. If that's your preoccupation, you cannot know the kingdom of heaven. If you love the kingdom of heaven, or the kingdom of God, or the level above human by whatever terms are in your head, and you hate this world, don't forget we're at a very unusual time. We're at the end of an age. Now, you can say, well, boy, you're really trying to fill me with fear, aren't you? If it works, I would. I would do anything that I could do to wake you up if you have that potential to know that kingdom, to be saved from this spading under, from this recycling. I mean, I don't care for any of the fame or glory of the human world. It's absolutely worthless to me. I can't wait to get out of here. There's nothing this planet or this civilization or this kingdom level has to offer me. I am away from my Father to be here. Anything that I could sacrifice in this world is no sacrifice at all compared to what I sacrificed in leaving there to come here to try to help those that were given to me as a task. I apologize for being so emotional, but that happens to be the truth. I want to leave here. Now, I'm in a vehicle that is already falling apart on me, and I'm desperate to try to help you have a last chance to go. Let's go back to title of tape. Title of tape is Last Chance to Evacuate Planet Earth, to get out of the human kingdom, get out of the planet, leave it literally. Now, leave it literally means, well, what is literal? That would require that you start identifying with the mind that can connect with this information and not identify with the body. And that you take advantage of everything that you have to learn more of this information, become more connected with it, and to follow it like a sheep would follow a shepherd in an attempt to leave this place. So I hate the lower forces that have taken the very truths that were initially the truths that became religion, and then made the religions more and more and more attractive and more human, so that those who had deposits and were seeking the presence or representative of a kingdom level above human when they came, they wanted to be sure that they were looking for the wrong one. Here we are at the end of the age, and you've got a whole world full of many types that say, we're coming to the end of an age. We're coming to the second coming. We're coming to the time that Jesus is coming back, or that the kingdom of heaven is coming. They're going to, and his son's going to set up his kingdom here on earth. And this is going to offer us heaven on earth. Doesn't happen. You wouldn't have it, even if it happened. Once you knew what it was, you wouldn't have it. You cannot cling to being a mammal connected with other mammals and expect to get in a level of life that is not mammal. Now, you can search the documents of your religions right now, and it clearly tells you that there are no males, there are no females. It is not a mammal existence. It is not a human existence, and that you have to leave everything of the human world in order to know that world or ever see that world. Well, once more, the awful thing from your perspective that happens when the level above human comes into the human kingdom, incarnates in a human body, and comes, that representative that they send has to say, in order to find followers, has to say, I'm here. I'm from kingdom level above human. What does that yield? That yields immediately that the vast majority say, cult, some religious radical, some blasphemous individual that wants to take advantage of people, has some big bank account somewhere that they're taking whatever possessions that followers can get. I wish you'd show me where that bank account so that we could use it to get this information out. I don't mean to make fun of this. I am desperate for your, and if the knowledge of the only ones that can survive that experience has to be those that are taken into the keeping of the evolutionary level above human. Now there are some strange possibilities that could happen that I have not touched upon. How is this end of civilization going to occur? Well, I don't know all the particulars. I mean, talk to the people that talk about earthquakes and talk about weather phenomena and talk about ozone layers and talk about that, environmental people, and they'll say, well, the planet's, in trouble in that area. Talk about the way that people no longer are restrained, nor do they have respect for their neighbors. They're so unrestrained that you just say something makes them unhappy, they start throwing rocks at you. And the next thing you know, you've got a neighborhood war, or you've got a little ethnic war in this nation or that. And there's so little restraint that the individual, these little groups, these little ethnic groups, these little religious groups, these little governments that are in conflict, they seem to be doing a significant amount of the spading under themselves. They seem to, by choice, be so quick to condemn others. Well, what is it that's in the history books about the truth that says, be careful not to condemn someone else or you're liable to be condemned? That doesn't mean anything. Everyone's quick to condemn. I mean, they don't even see anymore. They just see a tiny little aspect of someone else, and they quickly determine that they're so brilliant that they can judge it as being not what they're looking for, worthless, some radical movement, some movement that certainly is beneath them. Well, hasty judgments, that kind of quick to condemn others, that kind of violence that wants to destroy others. The world and its majority has created laws that try to keep individuals like us non-existent, because we threaten the system that the major systems exist on. You could say, well, what if everybody in the world left their families and came and followed Doe? Well, I don't have to worry about that. That's not going to happen. Only a tiny, tiny little fraction of the plants that are on the planet would even be able to have that. It's just like by giving up human ways, you could say, well, what if everybody gave up their human and mammalian reproductive activity? There wouldn't be any humans left. Oh, then you don't believe that the kingdom level above human is capable of producing individuals? That they can't make individuals? That they're dependent upon the reproductive activity? You sure don't give them credit for much. They made the very first ones here. They even designed them with the capacity to reproduce. If they didn't reproduce, they could make as many as they want to. They always have been able to do that. They're not dependent upon humans for anything. Well, I wish that I could, this sounds strange, but I wish you could believe me. Why do I wish that you could believe me? Because if you really believed me, you would look at what we have to say. You know, recently, this little classroom of students that are about to move into the level above human, following me out of here, and we're going to leave quickly. They are doing everything they can do to be non-human. That doesn't mean that they're ugly or they're sharp or they're more sensitive than you can imagine. They're more caring than you can imagine. The qualities that they have exceed anything of your imagination. But because they have listened to and taken in information of the next level enough that they believe it. And it means everything to them. They know that by separating from the world, that the vehicles that they were wearing, the plants that they were wearing, caused grief for individuals. There's also another aspect to that. The kingdom level above human also sees to it that none of those lives that were touched by that separation were damaged. They may be temporarily hurt. That doesn't mean they're damaged. A lot of times, or all of the time, that kind of hurt can lead to a greater positive for the individual who experiences the pain of that separation. Well, we created recently, I started to tell you a minute or two ago, we created recently a website on internet, one called Heaven's Gate. We have put into Heaven's Gate just about everything we have to say, as far as we were capable of putting it into it. We even have, if you wanted to learn, look, the time I'm sitting with you is a tiny little fragment of time. I couldn't tell you the things I know. If we sat for days and days and days, I couldn't tell you the things I know. But if you want to know more about us, if you can believe what I'm telling you, and you want to know more about it, you can go to Heaven's Gate and the internet. You can pull down all kinds of stuff that we have written, things that we have done, things about our history. We even have a book that's available to you I'm not going to spend time now trying to sell you some book, but there is a book available that you can find on Heaven's Gate website. I don't want to take away from the seriousness of the moment, because I am concerned that time is short. Last chance to evacuate the human kingdom, planet Earth, to get out of this space so that this garden can be recycled. I hope for your sake that you have a degree of curiosity about what I have said on this tape, so that you will look a little further. If you condemn me thoroughly and call me the Antichrist or whatever you want to call me, it's not going to hurt me. It's going to hurt you. If you condemn us, you'll be condemned. Nothing can hurt me. The thing that I could experience here that would be dismal from your point of view would maybe help me get back to the kingdom level above human more quickly. And that's what I desire to do. I know that the presentation of this little tape is not what I would call skilled or polished, or doesn't have the things that humans like to see in their presentations as far as development of a presentation. But I know that it has the truth. And that any of you that have a fragment of truth in you can connect with that truth. And if you pursue that truth, you don't have to worry about what's about to happen. You will have a future. You will be in the keeping of the kingdom level above human. This I desperately, for your sake, hope you take advantage of. And what happens in addition to that, to those who are looking for it or believe, is all a part of the spading under, including what may happen to us as a result of this little tape, or whatever subsequent things that we do in relationship to you between now and our departure. I hope that you take advantage of this. I hope that I have been a servant of the next level, and that you might somehow come to know the next level through this meager effort.
How very much I've loved you. How very much I've tried my best to give you the good life. But in spite of all of that I've tried, a handful of our people with their lies have made our life impossible. There's no way to detach ourselves from what's happened today. Not only we're in a compound situation, not only are there those who have left and committed the betrayal of the century, some have stolen children from others and they're in pursuit right now to kill them because they stole their children. And we are sitting here waiting on a powder keg. I don't think this is what we want to do with our babies. I don't think that's what we had in mind to do with our babies. It was said by the greatest of prophets from time immemorial, no man takes my life from me, I lay my life down. So to sit here and wait for the catastrophe that's going to happen on that airplane, it's going to be a catastrophe. Almost happened here. Almost happened. The congressman was nearly killed here. But you can't steal people's children. You can't take off with people's children without expecting a violent reaction. And that's not so unfamiliar to us either. Even if we were Judeo-Christian, if we weren't communists, the world, the kingdom suffereth violence, and the violence shall take it by force. If we can't live in peace, then let's die in peace. We've been so betrayed. We have been so terribly betrayed. But we tried, and as Jack Beam often said, I don't know where he's at right this moment. Where's Jack? He said, if this only worked one day, it was worthwhile. What's going to happen here in a matter of a few minutes is that one of those people on that plane is going to shoot the pilot. I know that. I didn't plan it, but I know it's going to happen. They're going to shoot that pilot, and down comes that plane into the jungle. And we had better not have any of our children left when it's over, because they'll parachute in here on us. I'm telling you just as plain as I know how to tell you. I've never lied to you. I never have lied to you. I know that's what's going to happen. That's what he intends to do. And he will do it. He'll do it. Fortunately, being so bewildered with many pressures on my brain, seeing all these people behave so treasonous, it was just too much for me to put together. But I now know what he was telling me, and it'll happen. If the plane gets in the air, even. So my opinion is that we be kind to children and be kind to seniors and take the portion like they used to take in ancient Greece and step over quietly, because we are not committing suicide. It's a revolutionary act. We can't go back. They won't leave us alone. They're now going back to tell more lies, which means more congressmen, and there's no way we can survive. Anybody wish to? Anyone that has any dissenting opinion, please speak. Yes. you can have an opportunity, but if our children are left, we are going to have them butchered. We can make a strike, but we'll be striking against people that we don't want to strike against. We'd like to get the people who cause this stuff, and if some people here are prepared to know how to do that, to go in town and get Timothy Stone, but there's no plane. There's no plane. You can't catch a plane in time. He's responsible for it. He brought these people to us. He and Deanna Myrtle. But people in San Francisco will not be idle over this. They'll not take our death in vain, you know. Yes, Christine?
Is it too late for Russia?
Here's why it's too late for Russia. They killed. They started to kill. That's why it makes it too late for Russia. Otherwise, I'd said, Russia, you bet your life. But it's too late. I can't control these people. They're out there. They've gone with their guns, and it's too late. And once we kill anybody, at least that's the way I've always put my lot with you. If one of my people do something, it's me. Now they say I don't have to take the blame for this, but I don't live that way. They said deliver up Ujara, who tried to get the man back here. Ujara, whose mother has been lying on him and trying to break up this family, and they've all agreed to kill us by any means necessary. You think I'm going to deliver them, Ujara? Not on your life. No. No, you're not going. You're not going. You're not going. I can't live that way. I cannot live that way. I've lived for all, and I'll die for all. I've been living on hope for a long time, Christine, and I appreciate you've always been a very good agitator. I like agitation because you got to see two sides of one issue, two sides of a question. But what those people are going to get done, what they get through, will make our life worse than hell. Will make the Russians not accept us when they get through lying. They told so many lies between there and that truck that we are done in as far as any other alternative.
Well, I said let's make an airlift to Russia. That's what I say. I don't think nothing is impossible.
Well, how are we going to
believe it?
How are you going to airlift to Russia?
Well, I thought they said if we got in an emergency, they gave you a code to let them know.
No, they did. They gave us the code that they'd let us know of an issue, not us create an issue for them. They said if they saw the country coming down, they'd give us the code. They give us a code. You can check on there and see if it's on the code. You can check with Russia to see if they'll take us in immediately, otherwise we die. I don't know what else you say to these people. But to me, death is not a fearful thing. It's living this treachery. I have never seen anything like this before in my life. I've never seen people take the law and do in their own hands and provoke us and try to purposely agitate murder of children. There's no, Christine, it's not worth living like this. Not worth living like this.
I think that there were too few who left for 1,200 people to give them their lives for those people that left.
You know how many left?
20 odd. That's a small
20 odd.
Compared to what's here.
20 odd. But what's going to happen when they don't leave? I hope that they could leave, but what's going to happen when they don't leave?
You mean the people here?
Yeah, what's going to happen to us when they don't leave, when they get on the plane and the plane goes down?
I don't think it'll go down.
You don't think it'll go down? I wish I could tell you were right, but I'm right. There's one man there who blames, and rightfully so, Debbie Blakey for the murder of his mother, and he'll stop that pilot by any means necessary. He'll do it. That plane will come out of the air. There's no way you fly a plane without a pilot.
I wasn't speaking about that plane. I was speaking about the plane for us to go to Russia.
To Russia. Do you think Russia's going to want? No, not going to. Hit. We're not. Do you think Russia's going to want us with all this stigma? We had some value, but now we don't have any value.
Well, I don't see it like that. I mean, I feel like that as long as there's life, there's hope. That's my faith.
Well, everybody dies. Someplace that hope runs out because everybody dies. I haven't seen anybody yet that didn't die. And I like to choose my own kind of death for a change. I'm tired of being tormented to hell. That's what I'm tired of. Tired of it. 1,200 people's lives in my hands, and I certainly don't want your life in my hand. But I'm going to tell you, Christine, without me, life has no meaning. I'm the best friend you'll ever have. Once I have to pay, I'm standing with you, Jara. I'm standing with those people. They're part of me. I can detach myself. My attorney says detach myself. No. I never detached myself from any of your troubles. I've always taken your troubles right on my shoulders. And I'm not going to change that now. It's too late. I've been running too long. I'm not going to change now. Maybe the next time you get to go to Russia, the next time around. This is what I'm talking about now is in the dispensation of judgment. This is a revolutionary suicide council. I'm not talking about self-destruction. I'm talking about what we have no other road. I will take your call. We will put it to the Russians, and I can tell you the answer now because I'm a prophet. Call the Russians and tell them, see if they'll take us.
I said I'm afraid to die.
I don't think you are. I don't think you are.
But I look at our babies and I think they deserve to live.
I agree.
You know?
But also they deserve, what's more, they deserve peace.
We all came here for peace.
And have we had it?
No.
I tried to give it to you. I've laid down my life practically. I've practically died every day to give you peace. And you've still not had any peace. You look better than I've seen you in a long while, but it's still not the kind of peace that I wanted to give you. So, a person's a fool that continues to say that you're winning when you're losing. Win one, lose two. What? I didn't hear you, ma'am. You have to speak up. That's a sweet thought. Who said that? Come on up and speak it again, honey. Come up and say it talk about. It's taken off. No plane is taken off. It's suicide. They have done it. Stone has done it. Somebody ought to. Somebody. Can they talk? Can they not talk to San Francisco? See, the Stone does not get by with this infamy. This is infamy. He has done the thing he wanted to do. To have us destroyed.
When we destroy ourselves, we're defeated. We let them, the enemy, defeat us.
Did you see I live to fight no more forever?
Yes, I saw that.
Did you not have some sense of pride and victory in that man? He would not subject himself to the will and whim of people who tell that they're going to come in whenever they please and push into our house, come when they please, take who they want to, talk to who they want to. Is that living? That's not living to me. That's not freedom. That's not the kind of freedom I sought.
But I think where they made their mistake is when they stopped to rest. If they had gone on, they would have made it. But they stopped to rest.
It's over, sister. It's over. We've made that day. We made a beautiful day. And let's make it a beautiful day. That's what
We win when we go down. Tim Stone has nobody else to hate. He has nobody else to hate. Then he'll destroy himself. I'm speaking here not as the administrator. I'm speaking as a prophet today. I wouldn't step in this seat and talk so serious if I didn't know what I was talking about. If there's any way to call back the immense amount of damage that's going to be done, But I cannot separate myself from the pain of my people. And you can't either, Christine, if you stop to think about it. You can't separate yourself. We've walked too long together.
I know that, but I still think as an individual, I have a right to...
You do, and I'm listening.
What I think, what I feel, and I think we all have a right to our own destiny as individuals.
Right.
And I think I have a right to choose mine, and everybody else has a right to choose theirs.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm. I'm not criticizing. I'm not doing that. What's that? Said today. That's what 20 people said today with their lives.
I think I still have a right to my own opinion.
I'm not taking it from you. I'm not taking it from you.
Christine, you're only standing here because he was here in the first place. So I don't know what you're talking about, having an individual life. Your life has been extended to the day that you're standing there because of him.
Voice back there, she has as much right to speak to anybody else, too. What'd you say, Luby? Well, you'll regret it this very day if you don't die. You'll regret it if you don't die. You'll regret it.
Too many people?
I saved them, but I made my example. I made my expression. I made my manifestation, and the world was ready, not ready for me. Paul said I was a man born out of due season. I've been born out of due season just like all we are, and the best testimony we can make is to leave this goddamn world. Please.
I'm not talking to her. Will you let me talk?
You're talking.
Would you make her sit down and let me talk while I'm on the floor, or let her talk?
Proper to tell the leader what to do. It really isn't. I've listened to you. You asked me about Russia. I'm right now making a call to Russia. What more do you suggest? I'm listening to you. If Russia gives me one slight bit of encouragement, I just now instructed them to go there and do that.
And you would be no fucking good in Russia, goddammit!
All right, now everybody hold it. We didn't come. Hold it.
Much longer to maintain. To lay down your burdens. I'm going to lay down my burdens down by the riverside. So we lay them down here in the side of Guyana. What's the difference? No man didn't take our life right now. He hadn't taken it. But when they start parachuting out of the air, they'll shoot some of our innocent babies. I don't want to see this, Christine, because they got to shoot me to get through to some of these people. I'm not letting them take your jar. Can you let them take your jar?
John died?
What's that?
You mean you want to see John, the little one, the king?
I want to see... Peace.
Christine, are you saying that you think he thinks more of them than other children here?
John.
That's what you're saying?
But you're acting. Do you think I'd put John's life above others? If I put John's life above others, I wouldn't be standing with his jar. I'd send John out. He could go out on the driveway tonight.
Because he's young. They're young.
I know, but he's no different to me than any of these children here. He's just one of my children. I don't prefer one above another. I don't prefer him above you, Jara. I can't do that. I can't separate myself from your actions or his actions. If you'd done something wrong, I'd stand with you. If they wanted to come and get you, they'd have to take me.
We're all ready to go. If you tell us we have to give our lives now, we're ready. I'm pretty sure all the rest of the sisters and brothers are with me.
Months I've tried to keep this thing from happening, but I now see it's the will of sovereign being that this happened to us. That we lay down our lives in protest against what's being done. That we lay down our lives to protest in what's being done. The criminality of people, the cruelty of people. Who walked out of here today? Did you notice who walked out? Mostly white people. Mostly white people walked. I'm so grateful for the ones that didn't, those who knew who they are. But there's no point to this. We are born before our time. They won't accept us. And I don't think we should sit here and take any more time for our children to be endangered, because they come after our children and we give them our children, then our children will suffer forever. I have no quarrel with you coming up. I like you. I personally like you very much.
People get hostile when you try to...
Oh, well, some people do. But you just some people do. Put it that way. I'm not hostile. You had to be honest, and you stayed, and if you wanted to run, you'd have run with them, because anybody could have run today. They would have wanted to. I know you're not a runner. And your life's precious to me. It's as precious as John's. And I don't, what I do with weight and justice and judgment. I've weighted against all evidence.
Okay, that's all I got to say.
What comes now, folks? What comes now?
Everybody hold it.
Stay peace. Stay peace. Stay peace. Stay peace. Stay peace. What's come? Don't let it. Just take Dwyer on down to the East House. Take Dwyer.
Everybody be quiet, please.
So you've got some respect for our lives.
That means sit down, sit down, sit down.
I know. I tried so very, very hard. We're trying over here to see what can happen in Los Angeles. Who is it? Get Dwyer out of here before something happens to him. Dwyer? I'm not talking about you, Jara. I said Dwyer. Ain't nobody gonna take you, Jara. I'm not letting them take you, Jara. Gather in, folks. It's easy. It's easy. Yes, my love.
At one time, I felt just like Christine felt. But after today, I don't feel anything, because the biggest majority of the people that left here were white. And I know it really hurt my heart, because
broke your heart, didn't it?
It broke my heart to think that all of these years that these white people have been with us, and they're not a part of us. So we might as well end it now, because I don't see...
Talking. The congressman has been murdered.
Ready.
It's all over, all over. What a legacy, what a legacy. But the Red Brigade's the only ones that ever made any sense anyway. They invaded our privacy, they came into our home, they followed us 6,000 miles away. The Red Brigade showed them justice. The congressman's dead. Please get us some medication. It's simple, there's no convulsions with it, it's just simple. Just please get it. Before it's too late, the GDF will be here. I tell you, get moving, get moving, get moving. Yeah. Don't be afraid to die. If these people land out here, they'll torture some of our children here. They'll torture our people. They'll torture our seniors. We cannot have this. Are you going to separate yourself from whoever shot the congressman? I don't know who shot him. Speaker Pete and those had a right to go, and they had a right to... How many are dead? Oh, God Almighty, God Almighty. Patty Parks is dead?
And the others to endure long enough in a safe place to write about the goodness of Jim Jones?
I don't know how in the world they're ever going to write about us. It's just too late. It's too late. The congressman's dead. The Congress today's dead. Many of our traitors are dead. They're all laying out there dead. I didn't, but my people did. My people did. They're my people. And they've been provoked too much. They've been provoked too much. What's happened here has been this has been an act of provocation. Yes.
If it's any way possible to have them to give Ted something to take him, I'm satisfied, okay?
What's that?
I said, if there's any way you can do to have them to give Ted something so he won't have to let him go too, okay? And I'm satisfied.
That's fine. Ted, yes.
Because I said I never wanted to live with you guys. And I appreciate you for everything. You're the only, and I appreciate you.
Please, can we hasten with that medication? You don't know what you've done. I tried. Move, please move.
Wesley told me there were 2 GDF.
They saw it happen and ran in the bush and dropped their machine guns. I never in my life. But there'll be more. You got to move. Are you going to get the medication here? You got to move. Marston, there's about 40 minutes.
You have to move, and the people that are standing there in the aisle go stay in the radio room yard, but everybody get behind the table and back this way, okay? There's nothing to worry about. Everybody keep calm and try and keep your children calm. And the older children can help love the little children and reassure them. Children aren't crying from pain. It's just a little bitter tasting, but they're not crying out of any pain. Annie McGowan, can I please see you back?
I used to do before I came here. So let me tell you about it. It might make a lot of you feel a little more comfortable. Sit down and be quiet, please. One of the things that I used to do, I used to be a therapist. And the kind of therapy that I did had to do with reincarnation and past life situations. And every time anybody had the experience of going into a past life, I was fortunate enough through Father to be able to let them experience it all the way through their death, so to speak. And everybody was so happy when they made that step to the other side.
When you step, there's no other thing you can do but step that way. It's the only way to step. The choice is not ours now. It's out of our hands.
If you have a body that's been crippled, suddenly you have the kind of body that you want to have.
A little rest.
It feels good. You've never felt so good, family, I tell you. You've never felt so good is how that feels.
And I do hope that those attorneys will stay where they belong and don't come up here. What is it? What is it?
Get what?
It's hard. It's hard. Only at first. Only at first is it hard. It's hard only at first. Living, you're looking at death. It only looks. Living is much more difficult. Raising up every morning and not knowing what's going to be the night's bringing. It's much more difficult. It's much more difficult.
I just want to say something to everyone that I see that is standing around and crying. This is nothing to cry about. This is something we should all rejoice about. We should be happy about this. They always told us that we should cry when you're coming into this world. Well, when we're living and we're living it peaceful, I think we should be happy about this. I was just thinking about Jim Jones. He just has suffered and suffered and suffered. He is the only God, and he don't even have a chance to enjoy himself here. And I wanted to say one more thing. This is one thing I want to say. That few that's gone, it's many more here. That's not all of us. That's not all yet. That's just a few that has got a chance to get to the one that they could tell their story to, their lives to. So I'm looking at so many people crying. I wish you would not cry and just thank Father. Just thank him. I've been here about... I've been here 1 year and 9 months, and I never felt better in my life, not in San Francisco, but until I came to Jonestown. I've enjoyed this life. I've had a beautiful life, and I don't see nothing for us to be crying about. We should be happy. At least I am. Let's take on those things.
Wouldn't be alive today. I just like to thank Dad because he was the only one that stood up for me when I needed him. And thank you, Dad.
I'm glad you're my brothers and sisters, and I'm glad to be here. Okay.
Please, for God's sakes, let's get on with it. We've lived as no other people have lived and loved. We've had as much of this world as you're going to get. Let's just be done with it. Let's be done with the agony of it. It's far, far harder to have to watch you every day die slowly, and from the time you're a child to the time you get gray, you're dying. Dishonest, and I'm sure that they'll pay for it. They'll pay for it. This is a revolutionary suicide. This is not a self-destructive suicide. So they'll pay for this. They brought this upon us, and they'll pay for that. I leave that destiny to them. Who wants to go with their child has a right to go with their child. I think it's humane. I want to go. I want to see you go, though. They can take me and do with me whatever they want to do. I want to see you go. I don't want to see you go through this hell no more. No more, no more, no more. We're trying. If everybody will relax. The best thing you do to relax, then you'll have no problem. You'll have no problem with the thing if you just relax.
Of the children here, a great deal because of Jim Jones. And the way the children are laying there now, I'd rather see them lay like that than to see them have to die like the Jews did, which was pitiful anyhow. And I'd just like to thank Dad for giving us life and also death. And I appreciate the fact the way our children are going. Because like Dad said, when they come in, what they're going to do to our children, they're going to massacre our children. And also the ones that they take captured, they're going to just let them grow up and be dummies like they want them to be, and not grow up to be a socialist like the one and only Jim Jones. So I'd like to thank Dad for our opportunity for letting Jonestown be not what it could be, but what Jonestown is. Thank you, Dad.
It's not to be feared. It is not to be feared. It's a friend. It's a friend. You're sitting there. Show your love for one another. Let's get calm. Let's get calm. to us. We had nothing we could do. We can't separate ourselves from our own people. For 20 years laying in some old rotten nursing home. Taking us through all these anguish years. They took us and put us in chains, and that's nothing. There's no comparison to that, to this. They robbed us of our land, and they've taken us and driven us, and we tried to find ourselves. We tried to find a new beginning, but it's too late. You can't separate yourself from your brother and your sister. No way I'm going to do it. I refuse. I don't know who fired the shot. I don't know who killed the congressman. But as far as I'm concerned, I killed him. You understand what I'm saying? I killed him. He had no business coming. I told him not to come. Die with respect, die with a degree of dignity. Lay down your life with dignity. Don't lay down with tears and agony. There's nothing to death. It's like Max said, it's just stepping over into another plane. Don't be this way. Stop this hysterics. This is not the way for people who are socialists, communists to die. No way for us to die. We must die with some dignity. Soon we'll have no choice. Now we have some choice. You think they're going to allow this to be done and allow us to get by with this? Must be insane. Children, it's just something to put you to rest. Oh, God. Mother, 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 please. Mother, please, 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 don't do this, don't do this. Lay down your life with your child, but don't do this. Free at last. Peace. Keep your emotions down. Keep your emotions down. Children, it will not hurt if you'll be quiet. If you'll be quiet. It's never been done before, you say. It's been done by every tribe in history. Every tribe facing annihilation. All the Indians of the Amazon are doing it right now. They refuse to bring any babies into the world. They kill every child that comes into the world because they don't want to live in this kind of a world. So be patient, be patient. Death is, I tell you, I don't care how many screams you hear, I don't care how many anguished cries. Death is a million times preferable to 10 more days of this life. If you knew what was ahead of you, if you knew what was ahead of you, you'd be glad to be stepping over tonight. Death is common to people. In the Eskimos, they take death in their stride. Let's be dignified. Let's be dignified. If you'll quit telling them they're dying, if you adults would stop some of this nonsense, adults, I call on you to stop this nonsense. I call on you to quit exciting your children when all they're doing is going to quiet rest. I call on you to stop this now. If you have any respect at all, are we black, proud, and socialist, or what are we? Now stop this nonsense. Don't carry this on anymore. You're exciting your children.
all over, and it's good. No sorrow that it's all over. I'm glad it's over. Hurry, hurry, my children, hurry. All I say, does not fall into the hands of the enemy. Hurry, my children. Hurry. The seniors out here that I'm concerned about. Hurry. I don't want to leave my seniors to this mess. Quickly, 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 quickly. Sisters, good knowing you. No more pain, Al. No more pain, I said, Al. No more pain. Jim Cobb is laying on the airfield dead at this moment. Remember the Oliver woman said she'd come over and kill me if her sons wouldn't stop her. These are the people, the peddlers of hate. All we're doing is laying down our life. We're not letting them take our life. We're laying down our life. We're seeking their lives. We just want peace.
All I'd like to say is that my so-called parents was filled with so much hate. And treachery. I think you people out here should think about how your relatives was and be glad about that the children are being laid to rest. And all I like to say is I thank Dad for making me strong to stand with it all and make me ready for it. Thank you.
I can do them all they're doing, taking a drink to go to sleep. That's what death is, sleep. Tired of it. I'm tired of it all.
Loving thing he could have ever done. The most loving thing all of us could have done. And it's been a pleasure walking with all of you in this revolutionary struggle. No other way I would rather go than give my life for socialism, communism. And I thank Dad very, very much.
That Dad's love and mercy and goodness and kindness and bringing us to this land of freedom. His love, his mother was the advance guard to socialism. And his love and his mercy should go on forever, on to the fields.
Where's the vat? Where's the vat with the green sea?
His love should go on forever to the pine. And thank you, Dad.
The vat with the green sea in, please. Bring it here so the adults can begin. Beg you, don't fail to follow my advice. You'll be sorry. You'll be sorry. That we do it and that they do it. Must trust you. You have to step across. We used to sing this world's not our home. Well, it sure isn't. As we were saying, it sure wasn't. He doesn't want to tell him. All he's doing, if they will tell him, assure these children. Some people assure these children of the relaxation of stepping over to the next plane. We've set an example for others. We've set 1,000 people who say we don't like the way the world is. Take our life from us. We laid it down. We got tired. We didn't commit suicide. We committed an act of revolutionary suicide protesting the conditions of an inhumane world.